On a trip to Hawaii, Doan lets go of her inhibitions. She meets a handsome stranger Ian, and the attraction between them is immediate. They share a deep, passionate kiss, a silent agreement passing between them. He suggests they take things to the room, and she follows. Forgetting her painful past, Doan decides to live in the moment, guided by nothing but instinct. In the privacy of the hotel, they share an intense and unforgettable night, a perfect escape from reality that feels like it could only happen once. Lost in their Hawaiian escape, Doan is completely swept away by the moment's intensity. As their connection deepens, Ian whispers that she's beautiful. With a confident smirk, he compares her to a pure, untouched canvas, both delicate and sensitive. He then reveals a surprisingly possessive side, declaring his desire to be the only one to leave his mark on her. Completely overwhelmed and under his spell, Doan can only feel her heart pound wildly in her chest, caught in the unforgettable intensity of their night together. The story jumps back 1 month before the chaos in Hawaii. We see Yoon Doan, a successful gallery curator, completely in her element at work. Her day is interrupted by a message from her boyfriend, Jinwuk, demanding she make time for him that night. She tries to refuse, explaining she's busy with a special exhibition, but he insists it's important. Reluctantly, she agrees. Later, she arrives at an upscale restaurant. An assistant announces her arrival, and from inside, Jinwuk coldly tells him to let her in, setting a tense mood for the night. The atmosphere in the restaurant is thick with unspoken tension. Jinwuk breaks the silence only to point out that Doan is late. Annoyed, she reminds him that he was the one who insisted on this sudden meeting. After he dodges her questions, they eat without a single word. Finally, as Doan raises her fork, Jinwuk drops a bombshell. With a casual sip of his wine, he announces that he's getting married. Doan freezes, completely stunned, as the news shatters her world in an instant. Jinwuk casually adds that the official announcement will be out soon. A storm of questions floods Doan's mind, but she silences them. Deep down, she always knew this day would come. With chilling composure, she simply agrees, telling him to get married. A relationship between a rich heir and an ordinary woman was never meant to last. Shocked by her lack of drama, Jinwuk can only stare. Doan stands to leave, stating there's no reason to stay. 4 years together, ending in an instant. Just as she turns, he lunges forward and grabs her wrist. Jinwuk stops Doan, refusing to let her go. He has the audacity to claim he doesn't want to break up. Instead, he proposes that she become his secret woman after his wedding, promising to take care of her. Disgusted by the offer, Doan asks if he seriously expects her to be his second. He shamelessly agrees, admitting he feels no guilt. With a new sense of clarity, Doan thanks him for showing his true, awful colors. She declares she can now leave without regret, gives him a hard shove, and walks out for good. 4 years of pure devotion ended in the most pathetic way imaginable. Seeing the official news of Jinwook's marriage, Doan makes a vow she will never get involved with a rich heir again. Fast forward to the present, she's on a business trip in sunny Hawaii. After a quick call with her CEO, who praises her hard work, Doan is told to enjoy a well-deserved break. The timing couldn't be better. The work was the perfect distraction from her heartbreak. She pulls up to a beautiful, secluded spot, ready to finally relax. The sound of waves replaces the city buzz as Doan steps onto the Hawaiian sand. The view is absolutely breathtaking. For the past month, she drowned herself in work to numb the pain of her breakup. But now that the project is over, an overwhelming sense of emptiness washes over her. She remembers her late father's advice. Life is short, so live without regrets and be happy. Staring out at the vast, sparkling ocean, she quietly wonders if she's truly doing okay and living up to his wish. Doan tries to let the ocean breeze wash away her bad memories. But her moment of peace is shattered by the sharp click of a camera shutter. Her eyes fly open, and she spots a man down the beach who just took her picture. An old fear instantly grips her. As the daughter of a famous actress, she's been haunted by cameras her whole life, especially after a terrible media scandal involving her mother. Before she can decide what to do, the stranger is suddenly right in front of her, asking for her attention. Doan gathers her composure and asks to see his camera. But when she gets a good look at him, she's completely stunned. The guy is insanely handsome, like a celebrity straight off the screen. He coolly refuses, stating that he doesn't just show his photos to strangers. Flustered by his rejection, Doan explains she might be in the background and pleads to see them, even offering to pay. This catches his interest. With a smirk, he asks how much she's offering, warning her that his pictures are quite expensive. Flustered by his challenge, Doan scrambles for a response. Part of her wants to just back off, but the thought of that photo existing is too much to bear. In a moment of panic, she declares she'll do anything he asks. A sly grin spreads across Ian's face. Her desperation amuses him. He agrees to show her, but with a cryptic warning. He tells her to keep her eyes wide open and not act like she didn't see what was coming. Doan is left completely stunned, wondering what on earth he means. With her heart pounding, Doan leans in to inspect the photos. But as he clicks through the images, she's left speechless. They're all breathtaking landscape shots of Hawaii, and she isn't in a single one. A hot wave of embarrassment washes over her. She made a huge scene over absolutely nothing. Mortified, she bows deeply and apologizes for being so overly sensitive. Ian, however, just smirks. He asks if that's it, admitting he's a bit disappointed. After all, he was very curious to see how she'd make good on her promise. Ian isn't letting her off the hook. He smirks, telling Do-in he didn't expect her to try and fix things with just words. She insists her apology was sincere, but he coolly informs her that it's simply not enough. When he demands she show more sincerity, a flustered Do-in asks if he wants her to get on her knees. He scoffs at the idea, claiming he's not that trashy. Then, after making a strange comment about recycling, he suddenly bursts into laughter, finding her whole reaction seriously funny. Realizing Ian won't just let this go, Do-in panics. Just then, a perfectly timed call from her friend Mayan gives her an escape plan. She answers and launches into a loud, fake conversation, pretending her darling is waiting for her at the airport. Ian watches her ridiculous performance, completely unfazed. He calls out to her, seeing right through the act. Busted, Do-in snaps that an apology is all he's getting. With a final shout of aloha, she makes a run for it, leaving an amused Ian watching her ridiculous escape. As Do-in makes her hasty retreat, something flutters from her neck and lands on the sand. It's her scarf. Ian watches her go before picking it up, an amused grin spreading across his face. He finds her panicked escape absolutely hilarious. Later, safe in her hotel room, Do-in explains her weird phone call to Mayan, admitting she was trying to ditch some psycho. When her friend freaks out, Do-in quickly clarifies, he was a hot psycho. Trying to change the subject, she gazes out at the ocean, feeling a sense of freedom after her recent breakup. As Do-in enjoys her freedom, her thoughts drift to her ex, Jinwuk, who got married just a month and a half after their breakup. But over the phone, her friend Mayan drops a bombshell. She was the one who went to the wedding, and she went for revenge. While heavily pregnant, Mayan crashed the ceremony in a white dress and sat right in the front row. The plan worked perfectly. Jinwuk looked uncomfortable the entire time. Mayan apologizes for introducing them, but Do-in just sighs, deciding to leave the bad memories in the past. Just when Do-in stops to relapse, Mayan drops another bombshell over the phone. That scumbag ex Jinwuk is also in Hawaii for his honeymoon. Do-in is stunned by the awful coincidence. Trying to lift her spirits, Mayan gets fired up, telling her to forget that loser and find a hot guy for some vacation fun. She even says that if he's hotter than Jinwuk, Do-in should just go for it. This spicy advice makes Do-in's mind immediately flash to Ian, the handsome stranger from the beach. Flustered, she quickly hangs up. Back in her room, Do-in suddenly stops. A worried expression crosses her face as she touches her bare neck, realizing her scarf is missing. She's devastated. It was a precious gift from her mom. To make matters even worse, her phone is flooded with glowing news articles about Jinwook's wedding. They all spin a fairy tale about his mature relationship, which absolutely infuriates her. Were her 4 years with him meaningless? Watching the peaceful ocean, she scolds herself for wasting her vacation thinking about that jerk instead of enjoying her freedom. Trying to forget her trash ex, Do-in hits a beachside bar. She reassures herself that Hawaii is huge, so there's zero chance she'll run into him. But just as she starts to relax, a sickeningly familiar voice calls her name. It's Jinwuk. Her scumbag ex is standing right behind her, asking what she's doing there. Frozen in panic, Do-in shoves cash at the waiter who just brought her drink and makes a run for it. But Jinwuk gives chase, angrily demanding that she stop right there. Jinwuk grabs Do-in's arm, refusing to let her escape. With his wife just a few feet away, he has the audacity to accuse Do-in of following him, twisting the coincidence to mean she still has feelings for him. Do-in frantically denies it, but he just smirks and renews his disgusting offer for her to be his mistress. Just as he corners her against a wall, a new voice cuts through the tension, telling him to let go. And look who it is. It's Ian, stepping in to save the unwind in the hotel pool, but his peace is shattered by a loud argument between a couple nearby. Watching the guy act like a complete jerk, Ian silently curses him out. Later, An opens up to him, finally telling him her own story. She explains that her ex dated her for 4 years, all while planning to marry another woman. To make things worse, he had the audacity to ask her to stay on the side. Ian listens intently, completely shocked that she's the protagonist of such a wild drama. Ian's voice cuts through the air, telling Jinwuk to let go of her hand. Do-in flinches, completely stunned by this turn of events. She thinks the situation is incredibly strange. Jinwuk looks this new guy up and down, baffled by his good looks before trying to dismiss him. He snaps that this doesn't concern him, but Ian isn't having any of it. With a calm smirk, Ian states that he thinks it does. Jinwuk is left absolutely furious, shocked that this stranger dared to interfere with his business. Ian completely ignores Jinwuk, turning all his attention to Do-in. He leans in close, asking if she happened to lose a scarf. Do-in is instantly relieved, realizing her precious scarf isn't gone for good. Using this as the perfect excuse, Ian says he's also staying at the hotel and invites her to check. She immediately agrees, taking his hand as they walk off together. Left behind, Jinwuk absolutely loses it. He screams at Doan for leaving with another man and lunges forward to stop her. But just as they're leaving, Jinwuk snaps and grabs Doan's arm, screaming at her to stop. He furiously tells Ian to back off, but Ian is completely unfazed. He calmly pries Jinwook's hand away, coolly advising him to stop clinging to an ex and pay attention to his own wife instead. Jinwook is stunned that this foreigner speaks perfect Korean. Ian smirks and starts to lead Doan away again, saying her scarf is in his room. Just as they're about to leave, he stops, suddenly remembering something. Ian turns back to the fuming Jinwook with one final piece of advice, telling him to save the pathetic obsession for his actual wife. But before Jinwook can respond, Doan steps up. She delivers the final nail in the coffin with a bold hand gesture, telling him exactly where he can go. As they finally walk away, Ian bursts into laughter. Doan tells him to stop, but he asks if she's feeling better. She admits that seeing her ex's miserable face made her feel like a huge weight was lifted off her chest. As they walk, Ian leans in and teases Doan, asking if she plans to thank him with just words. She gets totally flustered before he laughs and says he's just kidding. Doan calls him childish, but she can't help stealing a glance at his chiseled abs. Remembering why she's with him, she asks about the scarf. Ian smirks, reminding her he already said it's in his room. The sudden realization of where they're going makes her mind race, and she's so distracted that she trips right over her own suitcase. Before she can even kiss the floor, Anne's reflexes kick in and he catches her with ease. He asks if she's okay, and a completely flustered Doan apologizes, wondering why she's making one mistake after another. Her heart pounds as they step into the elevator, and he presses the button for the very top floor. She asks if he's staying in the penthouse, and he just smirks, casually admitting he has a bit of money. A slow smile spreads across Doan's face as she looks at him with new eyes. Ian opens the door to his penthouse, his robe casually undone, and invites her in. Doan gets flustered, trying to stay by the entrance, and she'll feel awkward if he waits outside. But he smoothly insists she come inside. The moment she steps through the door, her jaw drops. The suit is absolutely massive and luxurious, leaving her completely stunned. While she's still trying to process how one person can live in a place like this, Ian tosses her a bottle of water, guessing she might be thirsty. Doan presses the cool water bottle to her cheek, trying to figure out why she's so nervous. Ian then presents her lost scarf, and she lights up, thanking him profusely. But just as she reaches for it, he stops her. In one smooth motion, he gently tucks the strand of hair behind her ear and drapes the scarf around her neck himself. He leans in close, whispering that he's just making sure she doesn't lose it again. All she can hear is her own heart pounding as he steps back, telling her it suits her. Still reeling from their close encounter, Doan is thrown off guard when Ian asks her to dinner. He casually mentions the hotel's famous dinner show, but she's completely distracted by his very chiseled physique. Thinking about all the kindness he's shown her, she makes up her mind. She agrees to join him, insisting that it's her treat as a thank you. She figures, what's the harm in one little dinner? But it seems the night didn't end there. The scene shifts, revealing their evening went far beyond just a meal as they share an intensely private moment together. With the dinner plans set, Ian tells her to meet him in the lobby at 5:50. Doan quickly agrees, but she's completely frozen, her eyes glued to his ridiculously sculpted physique. Noticing her intense stare, Ian smirks and casually mentions he still needs to get ready for their date. The comment sends her into a full-blown panic. Bright red and completely mortified, she apologizes for intruding and practically bolts out of the room. Ian just satisfied grin spreading across his face. Later, while getting ready, Doan calls her best friend, Jin Mayan. Mayan immediately cuts to the chase, asking why she's hesitating with this new guy. Doan admits the whole thing feels a little risky, but Mayan knows her too well, teasing that risky just means he's exactly her type. She then asks if he's better looking than her trash ex, Jinwuk. Blushing, Doan confirms there's no comparison. Mayan goes into full hype, woman mode, telling her to get that man. Flustered, Doan quickly ends the call, but the conversation has clearly left an impression. Looking incredibly sharp in a suit, Ian greets Doan for their date. He flashes a charming smile and asks if she's ready to go. The venue is a breathtaking dinner show right on the beach, and Doan is completely mesmerized by the romantic atmosphere. As they're welcomed with flower lace, she thinks to herself how beautiful it all is. But then Ian looks right at her and smoothly comments on the flowers. It takes Doan a second to realize he's not talking about the ones around her neck. She gets completely flustered by his smooth compliment. As they soak in the scenery, Ian murmurs that it's truly beautiful. Trying to keep her cool, Doan agrees, assuming he's talking about the sunset. But he quickly clarifies, telling her that he meant she was beautiful. Just as a flustered Doan manages a quiet thanks, Ian's mood completely shifts. He spots a familiar, unwelcome couple in the distance. Annoyed, he calls them uninvited guests. Noticing Do-eun's concern, he asks if they should move tables, but then confidently decides against it. Why should they be the ones to leave? Do-eun's face immediately hardens as she recognizes the couple. It's her trash ex, Jinwuk, cozied up with his new bride, Choi Surin, the rich granddaughter of a cash queen. Do-eun silently fumes, wondering if this woman has any idea her fiancé asked his ex to be his secret lover. Trying to salvage the date, she forces a smile, but Ian sees right through it. He gently tells her she doesn't have to fake it. With a soft but firm tone, he commands her attention, telling her to forget them and just look at him. Trying to deflect his smooth compliments, Do-eun declares she'll just focus on the show. But then, a sudden realization stops her cold. They've been speaking Korean this entire time. Ian casually explains his mom was Korean and he's fluent. Internally, Do-eun is absolutely mortified, thinking back to all her awkward attempts at English with him. This leads to a much bigger fear. She asks if he understood the nasty confrontation she had with a man earlier. With a calm smile, Ian simply states he had his earphones in and was listening to music. Ian smoothly compliments her English. Do-eun explains she lived in the US until she was 10, a time that ended sadly when her father passed away. Trying to shift the mood, she asks how long he's staying. He's got an open schedule, but she only has 5 days left. Seeing his chance, Ian says they should at least learn each other's names if they're going to see each other. Do-eun totally freezes up. Not wanting to give her real name, she stammers out the first fake one she can think of, Mo. Anna. Ian repeats the name she gave him, Ma-ana, pointing out that it's not a very common Korean name. Do-eun's plan was to keep this whole thing a simple vacation memory, but this guy is making it complicated. Seeing her hesitation, Ian smoothly agrees to her terms and respectfully calls her Moana. Then, introduces himself with a fake name of his own, Neo. Relieved and charmed, Do-eun beams, formally introducing herself as Moana and extending her hand. He takes it with a warm smile, solidifying their secret identities. After the incredible fire show, Ian and Do-eun take a quiet walk along the moonlit beach. He asks if she had fun and thanks him, confirming it was great. Not ready for the night to end, Ian suggests grabbing a beer. Do-eun enthusiastically agrees. Later, she's practically chugging her drink, clearly flustered. Ian, with a calm smile, tells her to take it slow. She quickly insists she's fine, but her inner thoughts betray her. She's completely overwhelmed, wondering why the stranger has to be so unbelievably handsome. As fireworks light up the sky, Do-eun's mind races, imagining her friend Myon's voice cheering her on. She tries to shake it off, but Ian notices her flushed face and asks if she's already had too much to drink. Brushing it off, Do-eun insists she can handle more, but as she takes a step, her heel gives way. She stumbles forward, but Ian reacts instantly, catching her and pulling her securely into his arms. The playful atmosphere vanishes. He looks down at her intensely and asks if she wants to be with him tonight. Still in his arms, Do-eun is completely stunned when Ian asks if she wants to be with him tonight. Her mind goes blank. Without thinking, she pushes him away slightly, creating a bit of distance. A flicker of disappointment crosses Ian's face. He runs a hand through his hair, muttering that her hesitation is a letdown. The next morning, Do-eun wakes up alone with a pounding headache. She has no idea how she even got back to her room, leaving the night's ending a complete mystery. Do-eun wakes up with a mortified scream, the embarrassing memories of last night flooding back. Pacing in the hotel hallway, she debates skipping breakfast, desperate to avoid running into her scumbag ex, Jinwuk. But just as she's spiraling, a smooth voice stops her cold. It's Ian, the other person she really didn't want to see. He calmly asks why she's just standing there, and her face immediately flushes bright red. Overwhelmed with embarrassment, Do-eun wishes she could erase the entire night from her memory. While walking along the beach, Do-eun tries to apologize for the night before. Ian cuts straight to the point, asking if she has night stands often. Completely flustered, she blurts out that it was her first time. He then reveals why. He was disappointed, he was worried he came across as too easy. The realization dawns on Do-eun. She quickly denies it but admits her ex was partly to blame for her hesitation. Amused by her brutal honesty, En looks at her intently and asks for the real reason she pushed him away. Do-eun finally confesses she pushed him away because she didn't want to use him just to forget someone else. But Ian's response totally catches her off guard. He says that's exactly why he stopped things. He wants her, but not as a rebound. He admits he's greedy and doesn't want their connection to be just a fleeting emotional outburst. Gently touching her hair, he makes a bold promise starting tomorrow. He will make her forget her ex completely. The next morning, Ian's casual question about how she slept makes Do-eun choke on her food. Trying to play it cool, Do-eun sarcastically asks if he expected her to be kicking herself all night. Ian just smirks, teasing that she really was beating herself up. He then smoothly admits he didn't sleep well either, confessing that their encounter from the night before left a very strong impression on him. Before a flustered Do-eun can respond, he casually asks about the day's plans. Annoyed by his teasing, she declares she's checking out. But Ian just laughs, agreeing they should leave together. Doan is left completely speechless by his move. In the car, Ian lays out his next move. He reminds Doan it's February and tells her to just pack her winter clothes and passport, assuring her he'll handle everything else. But his plan involves a tiny private jet, and Doan is completely shaken. She nervously asks if it's safe, admitting she's never been on a plane this small before. Seeing her fear, Ian gently places his hand over hers. He tells her to trust him and look out the window, and the breathtaking view she sees leaves her absolutely speechless. The incredible view completely takes Doan's breath away. As she stares at a waterfall crashing directly into the ocean, Ian asks if she feels better. He then makes a bold promise once they land, he'll show her something even more beautiful. Doan can't imagine what could possibly top this. Upon landing at the airport, a sleek sports car is waiting for them. An assistant had the keys, confirming everything has been prepared for their trip. With a cool smile, Ian turns to the still, puzzled Doan and asks if she's ready to go. Just as they arrive, Ian gets a call. Doan decides to pop into the airport for a snack, telling him to take his time. On the phone, his assistant Liam confirms the strange list of items is ready: winter coats, hot packs, and even instant noodles. Liam instantly figures out this elaborate trip must be for a girl. He asks if this mystery woman even knows who Ian is. Watching Doan from a distance, Ian admits she has no idea he's the Ian McKinley. To her, he's just a man named New. Doan returns, assuring Ian they have plenty of time before asking the big question. Where are they going? With a confident smile, he reveals their destination is Haleakala, the House of the Sun, a place known for its amazing sunsets. They soon arrive at a breathtaking mountain viewpoint. As Ian hands her a coffee he brought, Doan asks if he planned this too. He confirms he's good at it, but Doan has her own surprise sandwiches from the airport. Ian is left momentarily speechless by her simple, thoughtful contribution to his grand date. Seeing his hesitation, Doan worries that he doesn't like her simple gift of sandwiches. But Ian quickly clarifies that's not it at all. With a charming smile, he admits he's a sucker for a woman who brings him sandwiches. As they eat, Doan is thrilled to see him enjoying it, teasing that she knew he would. After finishing his bite, Ian licks a crumb from his lip. Then, without warning, he leans in, closing the distance between them. Doan freezes, completely caught off guard by his sudden, intense move. As Ian leans in, Doan's heart pounds, completely bracing for a kiss. But instead, he just gently wipes a tiny smudge of sauce from her face. Totally flustered, she stammers a thank you, secretly a little let down. To hide her embarrassment, she quickly suggests they get going. Later, as they drive along a scenic route, Doan reflects on how this is already their third date. Her happy thoughts vanish when Ian suddenly starts speeding down a dangerous, unpaved road, making her seriously fear for her life. Ian tries to calm a terrified Doan, boasting he's a good driver even with one hand. Not having it, she frantically to use a proper two-handed grip. He simply reassures her that he's never been in an accident and tells her to just trust him. Suddenly, the wild ride ends. They've arrived at a stunning viewpoint high above the clouds. As Doan stares in awe, Ian gently drapes his jacket over her shoulders to shield her from the cold. Touched by his thoughtfulness, she quietly thanks him. Staring at the breathtaking sunset, Ian calls the view strange yet beautiful. Doan agrees, feeling like they're on another planet. He explains they're at Haleakala, the House of the Sun. Overwhelmed by the beauty, Doan silently wishes this perfect moment could last forever. But Ian suddenly breaks the mood, asking if she's up for some ramyeon. A moment later, she's shocked to see he actually brought instant noodles. After they eat, they gaze up at the brilliant night sky, which Doan poetically describes as being inside a snow globe filled with stars. Ian correctly guesses that Doan has been to this place before. He smiles, pointing out that she still chose to come back again, specifically for him. His comment makes her blush. He then softly reminds her that he promised he wouldn't disappoint her. Genuinely touched, Doan thanks him for the incredible experience. They step out of the car and are greeted by a sky so full of stars it looks like they're pouring down. Seeing her shiver, Ian gently wraps a scarf around her neck, and Doan can't help but get lost in his handsome face. Doan nervously asks if he isn't going to take any photos. Ian coolly replies that he already is, explaining that he's capturing images of her with his eyes. His incredibly smooth line leaves her blushing and speechless. The romantic atmosphere thickens as he gently cups her face, asking if he can kiss her. Doan calls him an idiot for asking, but he just smiles, correcting her that he's a gentleman. Completely charmed, she softens and tells her, "Sweet idiot," to come closer, giving him the answer he was waiting for. That one kiss under the stars changes everything. Doan is completely swept away, wishing this perfect moment would never end. But the night is far from over. Back in the hotel room, the atmosphere gets even more intense. Ian whispers her name, and she finds herself wanting to get even closer. He effortlessly lifts her into his arms and carries her toward the bed. It's clear their fleeting Hawaiian connection is about to reach a whole new level, setting the stage for a night neither of them will ever forget. In the hotel room, the mood deepens as Ain's gentle demeanor shifts into something far more intense. He praises her beauty, comparing her to a delicate, pure white canvas. But his next words send a jolt through Do-eun. He reveals a powerful, possessive side, declaring his desire to stain that canvas with his own color, leaving no doubt about his intentions to claim her completely. Stunned by his raw forwardness, a flustered Do-eun asks if he's always been like this. Whatever happens next, it's clear their night is about to change everything. The next morning, sunlight fills the room as Do-eun wakes up alone in bed, feeling dazed. Startled, she sits up and sees Ein emerging from the bathroom, a towel wrapped around his waist. He casually asks if she's awake and if she slept well. A completely flustered Do-eun can only manage a shy yes. The reality of their intention finally sinking in. This is way more than just a fleeting memory now. Ein playfully asks if she's hungry, joking about how much energy they must have used. He even teases that if she has any left, he'd be happy to help with that. A completely flustered Do-eun quickly insists she's hungry for food, and he tells her to wash up while he finishes breakfast. In the bathroom, her mind is flooded with intense memories from the night before. Overwhelmed, she splashes cold water on her face, calling herself insane for getting so carried away. She can barely think straight after their passionate night together. In the bathroom, Do-eun is still reeling from the night before. Her mind flashes back to the intense, passionate moments she shared with Ein, a whirlwind of activity that left her breathless. Then, she sees it in the mirror, the red marks scattered across her skin, undeniable proof of just how wild things got. The shock is real. Despite her racing heart, she wraps herself in a robe and walks out to the kitchen. Ein calmly asks if she wants coffee, and Do-eun, trying to keep her cool, says she'll take it iced. Ein hands her the iced coffee, playing the perfect host. Trying to regain some control, Do-eun asks for her car keys to get clothes from her suitcase. But Ein smoothly shuts her down, revealing he's already prepared an entire wardrobe for her in the closet. Do-eun is taken aback by the gesture, but politely insists she'd rather wear her own things. This genuinely surprises Ein. It's the first time anyone has ever refused him. Unbothered on the outside, he just smiles and tells her they should eat breakfast first. As Do-eun sips her iced coffee, her mind is a total mess. What exactly is their relationship now? Before she can figure it out, Ein suddenly closes the distance between them. In one smooth motion, he lifts her onto the kitchen counter, standing between her legs. He leans in close, gently taking a strand of her hair to his nose. He whispers that she smells just like him, sending a jolt through her. But then he hits her with the punchline. It's only because they used the same shampoo. Ein leans in, casually telling Do-eun he likes their shared scent, and hopes they can keep it that way. Do-eun's internal alarm bells are ringing like crazy. Her instincts warn her that behind his perfect appearance lies a serious danger. But even as her mind screams for her to get a grip, she finds herself unable to refuse him. As he pulls her closer, Do-eun knows that if she gets lost in this fleeting connection, the consequences will be hers alone to face. She gives in completely, lost in the overwhelming moment. Despite her better judgment, Do-eun finds herself undeniably drawn to Ein. Whatever happened between them that morning forged a new, intense connection. The scene then flashes back to their time in Hawaii, a whirlwind of perfect dates. They share meals and walk along the beach eating ice cream, lost in their vacation romance. Do-eun excitedly picks up a flower hair clip, calling it cute. She puts it in her hair and playfully asks Ein if it looks pretty. But instead of a compliment, she's met with silence as Ein just stares at her, completely unreadable. Instead of calling her pretty, Ein finally breaks his silence with a killer line, telling Do-eun that meeting her was a stroke of luck. She's confused for a moment until he clarifies that's the hidden meaning of the frangipani flower in her hair. Do-eun is completely charmed by the romantic gesture. Later, as they walk along the shore, a huge rainbow appears. Ein explains that Hawaii is sometimes called the land of rainbows. Just as Do-eun is soaking it all in, she gasps, spotting a tiny sea turtle making its slow journey to the ocean. Do-eun tells Ein that seeing a sea turtle brings good luck. It feels like the whole day is overflowing with it, from the rainbow to the turtle. But with only 3 days left in Hawaii, she's already dreading their goodbye. Seizing the moment, she gets a mischievous idea and calls Ein closer to the shore. Then, she splashes him right in the face and runs off, daring him to catch her. For a split second, she wonders if provoking him is a good idea, but it's too late. Ein grabs her from behind, and she lets out a surprised scream. Pinned on the sand, Ein leans in close and teases Do-eun, saying if they go any further, they'll have to stop. He then smirks, asking if she's disappointed. Flustered, Do-eun internally wishes they could go back to the hotel, but Ein interrupts her thoughts. He reveals he was just messing with her and has already made fancy dinner reservations. Later, as they walk along the beach, he continues his playful teasing. Do-eun, trying to change the subject, asks him to take photos of the beautiful sunset. but he just stares at her, promising to try his best. The camera clicks away as Ian snaps pictures of Doan against the sunset. Just a few days ago, she was paranoid about his camera, but now he's only focused on her. It feels like they're a real couple, lost in their own world. But her happy little daydream gets busted up by a little girl who appears out of nowhere. The kid straight up asks Doan if she likes Ian that much. Confused, Doan asks what she means, but the girl just leans in and says she saw everything. Doan is completely floored. The little girl saw what? She starts panicking, thinking they got caught in a super embarrassing moment right in front of a kid, while Ian walks back, confused by the sudden tension. But the girl just smiles, totally unfazed. She cheerfully says her mom and dad do that all the time, explaining that it's just what people do when they love each other. Relieved, Doan is touched by the sweet sentiment, remarking that the girl's parents must really be in love. The little girl sweetly asks for Doan's name. When Doan asks back, the girl proudly announces her name is Moana. Caught off guard, Doan replies that her name is also Moana. Thrilled by the coincidence, the kid offers to teach her how to hula dance, explaining her grandma is a teacher before dashing away. Ian walks up, teasing that she's led a cute little fairy. He encourages her to try the dance lesson, adding that he'd love to see it. Doan gets flustered, insisting she's too clumsy. But Ian just smirks, reminding her that from what he recalls of their passionate night together, clumsy is the last word he would use. As Doan turns bright red from Ian's bold reminder of their time together, little Moana suddenly appears, cheekily telling them, "No dirty talk." The kid then runs off, excitedly announcing that her grandma is ready to start the hula lesson. A moment later, Doan is greeted by the warm-faced grandma, who calls her Moana. The woman compliments, adding that her partner couldn't stop looking at her. Doan quickly clarifies he isn't her husband, to which the grandma points out that the flower in her hair, worn on the left, signifies she's married. Doan is totally flustered, admitting she had no idea about the flower tradition. The grandmother just smiles warmly, figuring they must be lovers. She offers some sweet wisdom, telling Doan to love fully and cherish the time they have, because life is short. Her kind words really hit home. Just then, little Moana pops out from behind a grandma, excitedly hyping up her amazing hula skills and saying she was even on TV. Feeling inspired, Doan agrees to the lesson, determined to learn even if she's not a natural dancer. The lesson begins as the sun sets, starting with a basic hula move. The grandmother explains that hula is a prayer expressed through music, a special language for conveying nature and emotion. She gently guides Doan, encouraging her and telling her she's doing great. Soon, they decide to try dancing to a traditional song. As the beautiful melody plays, the grandmother explains it's about a couple falling in love and getting married. Doan, completely lost in the moment, moves gracefully along the shore, a radiant smile on her face. Against the gorgeous Hawaiian sunset, Doan starts her hula lesson. From the sidelines, Ian tries to snap some photos, but man, he is struggling. He's completely mesmerized, thinking to himself that he can't even focus on the camera because she's just too captivating. A small crowd even gathers, cheering her on as she dances. Doan is absolutely radiant, lost in the beautiful moment and looking happier than we've ever seen her. She sways with a genuine smile, truly shining under the warm sky. Ian's heart hammers in his chest as he watches her. He completely forgets about his camera, unable to do anything but stare. Doan is simply too stunning, a vision of pure joy against the sunset. The magical evening on the beach fades into a moonlit night. Later, back in the hotel room, the atmosphere is electric. The two find themselves completely lost in each other, sharing a night of intense passion. Whatever happens next, it's clear their fleeting Hawaiian romance has just become something much more serious. Later that night, the mood is electric. As they hold each other close, Doan whispers that she likes him. Ian's expression softens completely, and he admits he likes her a lot, too. With a shy smile, she confesses the feeling is mutual. With their cards on the table, there's no going back. Their confession sparks an even deeper connection, and the scene fades as they spend the night together. Their relationship transforms from a temporary escape into something intensely real and profound, sealing their bond in the Hawaiian moonlight. The atmosphere between them is absolutely electric. Overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment, Doan softly whispers for him to stop. But Ian doesn't pull away. Instead, he meets her gaze with gentle reassurance. He softly tells her to lie down, his voice steady and calm. His confidence completely washes away her momentary hesitation. She gives in to the powerful connection between them, trusting him completely as their passionate night under the Hawaiian moon continues, sealing their bond in a way neither of them could have ever expected. As Ian looks down at her, Doan is completely overwhelmed. She realizes this isn't just some fleeting fling. It's a genuine connection, a beautiful affirmation of their feelings. Mustering up her courage, she whispers that she really likes him. Ian's intense gaze softens instantly, and he simply admits he feels the same way. With their cards on the table, the mood becomes electric. Doan gives in to the powerful moment. wanting to experience everything with him as their passionate night continues, cementing a bond far deeper than either of them ever expected. After their passionate night, Doan is fast asleep, looking completely at peace. But Anne is wide awake, even in the dead of night. He looks at a beautiful picture he took of her on the beach, a warm, knowing smile spreading across his face. A call from his friend Liam breaks the silence, who jokes about him not sleeping at all. Ian simply confirms it's 2 a.m. where he is, and that sleep just wasn't happening. It's clear he can't get his mysterious Moana off his mind. On the phone, when Ian reveals he took a photo, he asks if Ian took it as Neo, and Ian confirms. This is a massive reveal. Ian is secretly Neo, a legendary and mysterious photographer whose perfectionist work sells for a fortune. The enigmatic artist, who waits days for the perfect shot, is completely captivated. Moana. Now, with a new sense of urgency, Ian tells Lime he needs a studio to get the photo developed by morning and has a special favor to ask. The next day, the reality of her trip ending hits Doan hard. As she and Ian ride together, she feels like she's being kicked out of paradise, dreading her return. Ian breaks the quiet atmosphere, asking if she's really heading back the day after tomorrow. Doan is stunned that he remembered such a small detail. He simply says that of course he did, since it's her schedule. When he asks about her flight time, she quietly tells him it's around noon, a wave of sadness washing over her as their time together ticks away. Ian casually asks Doan about her plans for the day. Trying to play it cool, she mentions shopping and maybe getting a massage, admitting her muscles ache. With a shy blush, she wonders aloud what could have possibly caused that. Ian smirks, cheekily blaming her soreness on a lack of exercise. But then his tone softens, and he agrees she should take it easy. Just as Doan is touched by his considerate side, he leans in without warning, lifting her chin and whispering her fake name, Moana, leaving her completely flustered. That one word, Moana, is all it takes to completely short-circuit Doan's brain. She barely registers that they've stopped the car, asking if this is their destination. But Ian isn't focused on that. He gently traces her lip with his thumb, admitting he used to think she was an angel, but now he sees a different side. A side he wants all to himself. He warns her to only act this way with him. Doan playfully asks if that means she has to be an angel for other guys. He grins, confessing he's the dangerous, possessive type. Doan realizes she might have made a bad call, but it's far too late for regrets now. Ian smirks, locking eyes with her as he declares that once he sets his sights on someone, he never gives up. The next day, after Ian has to fly out for a bit, Doan tries to distract herself with some much-needed retail therapy. But even surrounded by new clothes, her mind is clearly somewhere else. Later, Ian extends a surprising offer. He's leaving a spare key to his room for her, telling her to relax there whenever she wants. Doan finds herself wondering if Ian giving her his room key means things are getting serious. But her thoughts are cut short when a man calls out her real name, Doan. Her good mood vanishes instantly. It's her scumbag ex, Lee Jinwuk. He angrily demands to know where she's been, but she coldly asks why he cares. With unbelievable nerve, he claims he was worried because his girl disappeared. Doan clenches her fist, shutting him down completely. She reminds him that she's not his girl anymore. His girl is Choi Surin. Done with this conversation, Doan turns to walk away, but Jinwuk grabs her, stopping her cold. He venomously asks if she's already been with another guy. Unfazed, Doan tells him she ended things maturely and questions why he's still clinging to her. He apologizes but then shifts his attack, demanding to know the new guy's name. Doan freezes, a bead of sweat running down her face. The look of panic on her face is all Jinwuk needs to connect the dots. Realizing she doesn't even know his name, Jinwook's eyes narrow as he puts it all together. He scoffs, confidently calling out for not even knowing the new guy's name. He claims that after 4 years together, he can read her like a book. Jinwook then starts slinging insults, questioning what kind of man she's with, and even suggesting he might be a professional companion. Doan furiously tells him to shut his mouth. But he keeps going, accusing her of having no pride and doing all this just to make him jealous. Doan is just stunned by his complete delusion. Jinwook tries to guilt-trip Doan, claiming he drank himself sick for 3 days while she was gone. He then aggressively demands to know if she spent the night with the new guy. A smirk plays on Doan's lips as she confirms that she did, adding that it was amazing, so much better than he ever was. Enraged, Jinwook loses control, shouting for her to stop as he violently grabs her. Then his tone shifts to desperate begging. He asks her to just give him 3 years, revealing he only needs his wife for a hotel deal. Doan stares at him, her pity clear. She calls him out for being a spoiled brat who thinks he can get whatever he wants by throwing a tantrum. Completely floored, Jinwook asks when she changed so much, questioning if she's even the same woman he once knew. Ignoring his pathetic question, Doan lays down the law. She coldly reminds him that he chose Choi Surin to be by his side. With a final, cutting remark, she tells him to be a good husband to his wife, then turns and walks away, leaving him speechless. Just when Doan tries to unwind at a spa, she spots the last person she wants to see, Choi Zorin. Of all the places, it had to be this one, especially after her explosive fight with Jinwuk. Doan watches her ex's new wife, thinking the woman is completely shameless. Suddenly, Surin breaks the silence, asking if Doan was talking to her. When Doan seems confused, Surin smirks, saying she doesn't talk to herself. Doan fires back that her comment is a bit harsh for someone she's never properly met. With a chilling smile, Surin insists she only spoke the truth. Doan is confused until Surin mentions the dinner show. She drops a bomb, accusing to a foreign man and calling her behavior humiliating. It all clicks. This is personal, and Surin knows who she is. Unfazed, Doan calmly replies that to everyone else, they simply looked like a couple in love. She then looks Surin dead in the eye and asks if they've met before, putting the pressure right back on her. Surin nervously asks why she should even know Doan. Internally, Doan realizes just how cold Surin is for marrying Jinwuk while knowing about their relationship. When Doan pushes for an answer, Surin claims her marriage just felt like the right choice. This triggers a memory of Jinwook's pathetic promise to return, and Doan knows she wasted her pity. Trying to sound intimidating, Surin asks if Doan even knows who she is. But Doan just smirks, saying she doesn't really care, which makes Surin lose it, declaring Doan has just made a huge mistake. Surin completely loses her cool, shouting that Doan is going to regret this. But Doan remains unfazed, calmly asking what would happen if she did. Their tense standoff is suddenly interrupted by two SPAE employees who greet them cheerfully. Surin tries to get Doan's attention, but Doan ignores her, forcing Surin to put on a polite face for the staff. Then, with a chilling smile, Doan congratulates her on the wedding. The fake niceness makes Surin's blood run cold as she realizes Doan knew who she was the entire time. After her intense showdown with Surin, Doan makes a promise to herself. If they ever cross paths again, she absolutely will not back down. Meanwhile, Ian is busy with his own secret plans. He's shown a photo of a custom-made anklet featuring a plumeria flower design and the exact sapphire he requested. A small smile plays on his lips as he immediately confirms that he'll take it. Shortly after, a beautifully wrapped gift box is delivered to a luxurious suite, its glass door sliding open to receive the special package. Ian stands under the shower, the water cascading over him as he prepares himself. In his mind, he declares that tomorrow is the big day. His thoughts drift back to Doan in Hawaii, who playfully asked for a copy if he took a good photo of her. A small, confident smile to his lips as he recalls his response. He had vowed it would be the best picture he'd ever taken. Unbeknownst to him, Doan had made a promise of her own that day. She decided that tomorrow, she would finally confess her real identity. The chime of a door echoes through the suite as Ian steps out, fresh from the shower with only a towel around his waist. He calls out, asking if Mona is there, but his hopeful expression quickly fades. Standing before him isn't Doan at all. A stunning blonde woman, Samantha, greets him with a sly smile, asking if he's surprised. Before Ian can respond, she steps forward, confidently telling him that she's missed him. It seems Ian's romantic plans have just hit a major, unexpected snag. Ian is completely unfazed by Samantha's advances. He flatly asks what she's doing in his suit. Ignoring her playful pout, he demands to know how she found him. Samantha coolly reveals that his own father told her. Ian is stunned. He never mentioned Hawaii to his dad, quickly realizing his father's reach is inescapable. Before he can dwell on it, Samantha complains about being left in the doorway, clearly expecting to be invited in. It seems Ian has a new, very determined problem to deal with. Ian flatly refuses to let her in, telling Samantha to go find another hotel. But she's not taking no for an answer. Planting her heel firmly, she slips past him into the suite, asking if he isn't being a little too harsh. Ian immediately grabs her arm to stop her, but she uses the momentum to get closer, pressing herself against him. She insists he shouldn't treat her like this, reminding him that she's Samantha Hughes, Lamb's little sister, and implies that they are meant to be together. Ian just stares back, completely unimpressed. Now fully inside, Samantha makes herself at home on the couch, playfully complimenting Ian's fresh from the shower look. But Ian, now in a robe, is not in the mood. He sighs, tired of the games his father and her brother are playing. He tells her he's leaving and she should do the same. Samantha asks to wait, but Ian flatly refuses, explaining he's meeting someone. When she guesses it's Moana, he confirms it's true and bluntly tells her to get out, causing her to jump to her feet in shock. Refusing to be dismissed, Samantha resorts to a bold new tactic. With a quick pull of a zipper, her dress pools at her feet, leaving nothing to Ian's imagination. She demands he look at her, confidently asking if he finds her pretty. But Ian is completely disgusted by the display. Barely sparing her a glance, he asks what on earth she's doing and coldly orders her to put some clothes on. Undeterred, she moves in closer, placing a hand on his chest and confessing her love. Ian, however, remains completely unmoved by her desperate plea. Ian forcefully pushes her hand off his chest, his patience completely gone. He warns her to keep her pride and not do anything she'll regret. Drawing a firm line, he states that he is neither her lover nor her fiancé, ordering her to keep her distance. Hurt by the rejection, Samantha demands to know who this Moana is that's making him push her away. Getting angry, she asks if he thinks she isn't a special woman. Without even a glance, Ayn coldly replies that she already knows the answer better than anyone. Furious at the rejection, Samantha wonders how he could treat her this way when she's supposed to be his fiancée. Suddenly asking if Moana is Asian. Ayn is completely baffled by the question. Lashing out, Samantha demands to know why he'd choose some Asian girl over her, claiming her own love is far greater. But Anne is officially done with this conversation. Covering his face in exhaustion, he drops a bombshell, reminding her that the very blood she looks down on flows through his own veins. Samantha is left completely speechless. Samantha desperately tries to backtrack, insisting that Ian is different. But Ian is having none of it. He doubles down, revealing his full name is Ian Kim McKinley, and states that the family's fortune was built on Asian wealth. The hypocrisy hits Samantha like a truck. She immediately breaks down, crying and begging him to forgive her. Ian realizes he's trapped. If he throws her out now, she'll tell his father everything. To protect Doan from the inevitable fallout, he reluctantly agrees to let it go this one time. Relieved, Samantha thanks Ian, thinking she's dodged a bullet. But Ian isn't finished yet. He gives her a stone, cold warning to remember this moment clearly, stating that he is very serious about the other woman. Leaving no room for doubt, he tells her he's having another hotel booked for her and that she should leave immediately. As he turns his back, Samantha clenches her fist in silent fury. Meanwhile, completely unaware of the drama, Doan is relaxing back at her own hotel, feeling refreshed after a nice massage. Doan relaxes in her hotel room, a deep blush on her face as she thinks about her time with the man she knew as Neo. She admits to herself that after all the intense nights they shared, it's no wonder her body feels completely exhausted. Her mind flashes back to their powerful connection in Hawaii, a whirlwind of passion and emotion. A soft smile plays on her lips as she realizes that even though they just parted ways, she already misses him deeply, replaying every powerful moment in her head. Doan's peaceful moment is cut short as she realizes she dozed off. Just then, her phone starts buzzing. The caller ID shows HJ Entertainment, a strange call to get at this hour, considering it must be dawn in Korea. She answers, confused. The voice on the other end is her aunt, whose tone is filled with panic. Doan asks what's wrong, her heart starting to race. Her aunt then delivers the devastating news Doan's mother, the actress Lee Hwang, has been in a serious accident. Doan's world instantly shatters. Doan's blood runs cold as her aunt delivers the shocking news her mother has been in a serious accident. The phone almost slips from her grasp as the details come pouring out. It happened on the highway after filming. In a desperate panic, Doan grabs the remote and flicks on the TV. An entertainment news channel confirms her worst fears, displaying the mangled wreckage of her mother's car. While her mother is reportedly unconscious but stable, Doan stands frozen, her mind blank. Her aunt's voice fades as she wonders why something so terrible has to happen again. The devastating news sends Doan spiraling into a painful memory. Her mind flashes back to a rainy summer when she was 9. The last time she ever saw her father. He was killed in a drunk driving accident, a senseless tragedy that shattered her world. The past and present horrifically collide as she relives the trauma. Her aunt's frantic voice on the phone snaps her back to the present. Shaking, Doan tells her she's okay and is rushing to the hospital, promising to call the moment she arrives. Trying to sound composed, Doan tells her aunt she'll book the earliest flight she can get. Her aunt urges her not to worry, promising they'll talk more once she arrives. The moment the call ends, Doan lets out a shaky breath. She moves to her closet to pack, but her hands are trembling, causing clothes to slip from her grasp. She repeats to herself that everything is going to be fine, that she needs to stay calm. But it's no use. Overwhelmed, she silently begs her late father to please help save her mom. Sitting on her bed, suitcase ready, Doan's mind is a frantic blur. She tries to focus, wondering if she's packed everything she needs. Grabbing her phone to change her flight, the screen suddenly lights up. It's a photo of her from Hawaii, a ghost of a happier time. The image triggers a sharp memory of a man named Neo, recalling his kind words inviting her to his place. A wave of regret hits her hard as she remembers their sudden goodbye, a parting she never saw coming. Her current crisis is now tangled with the heart-hatch of the past. Her mind flashes back to that perfect sunset in Hawaii. She remembers she had planned to spend the next day with Neo, to finally ask him to be with her for real. But reality crashes back in. It's 1:40 a.m. and she's all alone. Overwhelmed by regret, she thinks it's too late. But then, a sudden resolve hits her. She leaps from her bed, refusing to let this chance slip away. Realizing her mom's accident is tangled with the pain of her past goodbye, she rushes out the door to find him. Standing in the hallway, Doan is hit with a wave of doubt, wondering if her feelings for Neo are just a chaotic mess. But one thought cuts through the noise: she needs to see him. She desperately wants his comfort, remembering how safe she felt with him. Do-eun believes that if he's the one to say everything will be okay, she'll finally be able to breathe again. Acting on pure instinct, she rushes to his apartment and rings the bell. As she waits in the silent corridor, a new fear surfaces. What if he's already asleep? With her heart pounding, Do-eun knocks on his door, desperately calling out for Neo. She tells him it's Moana and that she has things she needs to say. But the hallway remains silent, and the hope on her face quickly fades. Is he really not here? She panics, thinking she can't just leave without even seeing his face. Des's despair sets in, a memory flashes in her mind. He once told her he'd leave a spare key at the front desk for her. That's it. A new wave of determination hits her. With the spare key in hand, Do-eun bursts into the apartment, a wave of relief washing over her as she calls out Neo's name. But her hope shatters in an instant. Standing inside isn't Neo, but a stunning blonde woman in a red dress. Do-eun's mind races. Is this the wrong room? No, it can't be. The woman eyes her with suspicion. Stuttering, Do-eun asks who she is, only for the stranger to throw the exact same question right back at her, leaving Do-eun completely speechless and confused. The blonde woman gives Do-eun a condescending once over, silently judging her appearance and realizing this must be Ian's Moana. She then mocks Do-eun, claiming her pronunciation is too poor to understand. The insult hangs in the air, and Do-eun's face hardens. Not one to be pushed around, she immediately fires back, calling out the woman's rude and casually racist remark. With a sharp glare, Do-eun flips the question back on her, demanding to know exactly what her relationship is with Neo. The confrontation has officially begun. The blonde woman, Samantha, is internally freaking out. She can't believe Ian would give Do-eun that special name. Why would he share something so personal with a woman he just met? Does he actually like her? Despite her shock, she quickly composes herself and plays dumb. She coldly asks Do-eun what she's talking about, stating the man in this room isn't Neo. It's Liam Jackson. Do-eun is completely stunned by this new name. With a triumphant smirk, Samantha delivers the final blow, proudly announcing that she is the woman engaged to him. Do-eun is still reeling from the shock when Ian himself appears, wearing only a robe. He looks at Samantha with stone, cold eyes and tells her to leave, stating that Liam will contact her soon. Utterly stunned, Samantha reaches out, begging him to wait. But Ian doesn't even spare her a glance, walking away without another word. Left defeated and alone, Samantha's phone suddenly rings. The caller ID is loud and clear, Liam. As her phone buzzes with Liam's name, Samantha grits her teeth. She knows he's gonna chew her out again, but she reminds herself he's just N's half-brother and refuses to back down. Determined, she marches to the hotel reception. She confidently declares herself as Ian McKinley's fiancé and demands a spare key to the penthouse. Letting herself into the empty suite, she immediately buries her face in a pillow. Inhaling his scent, she reaffirms her belief that this is exactly where she belongs. While vowing to do anything to become a McKinley, Samantha answers the call. Liam is absolutely fuming on the other end, but she doesn't flinch. She coolly explains Ann's own father told her where to go. Liam orders her to a separate hotel, insisting Anne won't be back tonight. Spotting a gift box, Samantha asks about the new girl. Liam dismisses Do-eun as just some ordinary woman Ian met while traveling. Finding the box empty, Samantha tells him to just let her know when Ian returns, completely ignoring his order. With a triumphant smirk, Samantha drops the ultimate bombshell, proudly announcing that she is Ian's fiancé. To prove it, she shows off a beautiful plumeria bracelet, claiming it was a gift from him that very day. The word fiancé hits Do-eun like a truck, and the sight of that flower is even worse. The devastating words trigger a painful memory of her ex-boyfriend suddenly announcing his own marriage. Do-eun's world shatters for a second time as she realizes she may have been fooled by someone she trusted all over again. The word fiancé sends Do-eun spiraling. A painful memory of her snake-faced ex Jinwuk flashes in her mind, immediately followed by the memory of Ian's sweet promises in Hawaii. Refusing to be a victim twice, she looks Samantha dead in the eye and demands to see Ian, wanting to hear the truth from the man himself. But Samantha just laughs it off. With a smug look, she claims Ian is fast asleep because they just had a very passionate night. She lands the final blow by telling Do-eun he's not interested in someone like her. Staring at the closed door, Do-eun desperately wonders if the man she knew as Neo is really inside. Refusing to back down, she challenges Samantha, asking what she could possibly know about him. Samantha just scoffs, mocking Do-eun for not even knowing his real name or age. She calls it a tired old routine that girls always fall for. Do-eun flinches as Samantha cruelly lays out the entire playbook. Do-eun likely approached him first, and then Ian pretended to be against casual flings. Samantha smirks, knowing it's all just a predictable game to him. Samantha continues her vicious takedown, guessing that Do-eun quickly became intimate with Liam, and calling it his signature move. With a condescending glare, she asks what gives Do-eun the right to act so entitled. Then comes the final, crushing blow. Samantha tells her to wake up, revealing that the luxury penthouse and everything Doan experienced was paid for without her money. As this ugly truth sinks in, Doan's mind flashes back to her dreamlike paradise in Hawaii, remembering the sweet, romantic moments with the man she knew only as Neo. As her beautiful memories of Hawaii crumble into dust, Doan questions if everything was a lie. Samantha just scoffs, telling her to give up the pathetic fantasy of landing a rich man and to get lost. But Doan finds a crack in her story, asking why Samantha would stay with a user who lives off women. The question makes Samantha completely lose it. She screams that she stays because she loves him, then furiously challenges Doan, asking if her feelings could ever compare. In her heart, Doan quietly admits she genuinely did like the man she knew as Neo. Doan's mind races back to her time with Ain, remembering a tender moment when he told her he loved her. She admits to herself that she nearly fell for it, even wondering if her own feelings were turning into real love. But the memory is quickly tainted by another, older betrayal. She recalls the painful end with her ex, Jinwuk, and how she swore never to walk through that of hell again for a man who wasn't worth it. A photo of her happy past with him burns away in her mind. Returning to the present, Doan's resolve hardens. She can't love a man who deceived her and toyed with her emotions. Her pride simply won't allow it. Seeing this flicker of defiance, Samantha crosses her arms impatiently. With a sneer, she asks what Doan is hesitating for and tells her to get lost already. Doan clenches her fist, remaining silent as a cold sweat trickles down her face. Despite her inner strength, this confrontation is clearly taking its toll on her. Just as the confrontation reaches its peak, Samantha suddenly backtracks. She admits she's never heard anything about a fiancé, which only fuels Doan's anger. Realizing she's been played, Doan declares that she's a victim too and demands to hear an apology straight from him. She tells a stunned Samantha to wake him up. The tense moment is shattered by a loud noise as the scene abruptly cuts away. We're now at an airport where Doan's ex, Jinwuk, looks completely panicked. He urgently asks someone to repeat what they just said happened at the hotel. Doan calls her waif, asking why she'd stay with a womanizing leech. The question makes Samantha completely lose it. She screams that it's because she loves him, then furiously challenges Doan, asking if her feelings could ever possibly compare. For a moment, Doan hesitates, her pride warring with her heart. But then Samantha backtracks, admitting she's never actually heard anything about a fiancé. Realizing she's been played, Doan's resolve hardens. She declares she's a victim too and demands to hear an apology straight from him, telling a stunned Samantha to wake him up. Samantha snaps, screaming at Doan for being so shameless. She hurls a nasty, personal insult, but Doan stays perfectly calm. She simply fires back that Samantha is the one with no manners for causing a scene in a hotel. With the upper hand, Doan expresses her disappointment that Ian is with someone like her and says she's leaving. As a final blow, she advises Samantha to think twice about marrying him, because haunt's trash, always trash. Doan then turns and walks away, leaving a defeated Samantha speechless in the hallway. As Doan walks away, Samantha screams after her, questioning who she thinks she is to give advice and then just leave. The sound of a door slamming shut cuts off the argument. Alone in her room, Doan's composure finally breaks. She leans against the sink, overwhelmed with emotion. With her flight leaving in just 2 hours, she's devastated that she never got to say a proper goodbye to Ian. A memory of their passionate nights surfaces, and she wishes she could tell him time together wasn't meaningless as she departs Hawaii for good. The next morning, Ian approaches the front desk, asking about the previous day's trouble. The staff chalks it up to broken kitchen equipment, keeping him in the dark. Still trying to make things right, Ian requests to have flowers sent to Doan's room. That's when the employee drops a bombshell. Doan called at 4 a.m. to check out, saying she had to leave unexpectedly. Stunned, Ian retreats to his room. He sits alone with a drink, completely baffled. Why would she just disappear without a single word after everything they shared? Ian sits alone, racking his brain. Did he somehow make a mistake? A sudden, awful thought occurs to him. He remembers asking the hotel staff if Lee Jinwook had also checked out, and they confirmed he had. The painful realization hits him. Doan left because her ex was gone. He recalls their first night, when she boldly asked him to spend it with her, likely just to spite Jinwook. Even suspecting her motives, Ian admits to himself that he was so captivated that he willingly came all the way to Maui just for her. Still reeling, Ian's mind flashes back to their intense nights together. He had been convinced he wanted her heart completely, especially after she whispered that she really liked him. But now, alone in his room, he curses himself for being so foolish. Why did he believe words spoken in a moment of passion? His hurt quickly turns to ice, cold rage, and he crushes the glass in his hand. He vows that the woman who abandoned him will be discarded just as efficiently. He tells himself he is nothing like his mother. Ian stares at the photos he took of the woman he knew as Moana. The memories of Hawaii spread across his desk. But this isn't a fond look back. He makes a decisive call to his assistant, Liam, telling him to book the earliest flight to New York. With that, he slams the pictures onto the table, ready to leave this chapter behind. 1 month later, the scene shifts to a peaceful art gallery. A woman with a serene smile hums to herself, enjoying the nice weather as she prepares a cup of coffee, ready to start her day. Back in her daily life, Doan tries to move on, putting on a brave face at work. But her calm exterior hides the real reason she rushed home from Hawaii. A flashback on at a hospital, breaking down by her mother's bedside. Her mom, despite her own injuries, soothes her daughter, asking why she cut her rare vacation short. Worried sick, Doan asks if she's really okay. Her mother just smiles warmly, promising she's not going anywhere and that everything is fine. Time really does fly. Doan smiles, relieved that her mom's cast is coming off in just 2 days. Her phone buzzes with a message from her friend, hawaiian, showing a cute picture of her sleeping baby. Doan chuckles, thinking the baby is a spitting image of her mom. But as she looks at her phone, her thumb slips, accidentally revealing a photo from Hawaii. It's her and Ian, smiling under the sun. Before she can react, a nervous colleague calls her name, telling her there's something she needs to see for herself. Confused, Doan turns around. Her colleague points towards a man admiring a painting, gushing about how handsome he is. Doan turns, and her breath catches in her throat. It's Ian. He looks over, his gaze locking onto hers as if he'd been waiting. He greets her casually, saying it has been a while before calling her by the name she used in Hawaii, Mana. Before a stunned Doan can even form a word, he smirks. With unnerving calm, he asks if he should be calling her manager Yoon Doan instead. Ian sits alone, lost in thought as he recalls the moment he learned her name. It was back in Hawaii. He had watched as a man, her ex-boyfriend Jinwuk, confronted her publicly. But Doan didn't back down. She called him out for trying to make her his mistress while he was engaged to someone else. Watching her stand up for herself with such a sharp tongue, Ian couldn't help but smile. What began as simple curiosity about this fiery woman quickly grew into something much more compelling, making him act unexpectedly. Ian's thoughts drift to a woman from his past named Neo. He recalls how hard he had to work just to get her attention. In a vivid memory, she looks at him with a soft blush, confessing that she likes him. Snapping back to the present, Ian's expression hardens with resolve. He calls his assistant, Liam, telling him to book the first flight to New York. He needs to confront her and hear the reason she left directly from her own lips. A few days later, the scene shifts to a fancy gallery in New York. Ian catches up with his friend, Liam Jackson, who asks him how it feels to be back to his main job. Liam teases him about Hawaii, wondering if he broke up with that woman because of Samantha. Ian smirks, dismissing the idea and saying it's all in the past. But just then, he sees a woman in a yellow dress who looks strikingly like Doan from behind. Forgetting everything, Ian calls out, "Mana." He rushes forward and grabs her shoulder, only for a complete stranger to turn around, startled. Mortified, Ian quickly apologizes for his mistake. Still thrown off by his mistake at the gallery, Ian's mind flashes back to when he first became obsessed. He recalls thinking she was an annoying woman, but couldn't get her out of his head. He finally caved and asked his friend Liam for her identity. Liam, amused, reminds Aim he had previously turned down the offer to investigate her. He then reveals her full name is Yoon Doan, a gallerist. Liam adds an ironic twist. Doan is terrified of cameras due to media attention in her youth, making her entanglement with a photographer a strange fate. Ian remembers how Doan seemed so scared of his camera, and now he understands why. Liam drops a bombshell, revealing the awful truth behind her trauma. Years ago, someone stole her photo, professionally altered it, and posted it on a disreputable website with a fake identity. The scandal exploded, making her the target of a nationwide hate campaign. Back in the present, a colleague gushes to Doan about a handsome man nearby. Doan looks over, and her world stops. It's Ian. Her mind races, questioning what on earth he's doing here. With a confident smile, Ian greets her, dropping the one name she hoped to never hear again, Mana. Doan's heart hammers against her ribs as her composure shatters. She quickly dismisses her confused colleague, needing to face this ghost from her past alone. Ian strolls closer, coolly asking if she's been well. His voice sends her spiraling back to Hawaii. Memories of their passionate nights rush in, recalling the intense, undeniable connection they shared under the stars. A fleeting escape that has now crashed back into her reality. Ian keeps the pressure on, smoothly telling Doan he's been doing great, all thanks to her. When he flips the question, she quietly admits things haven't been good. With a sly grin, he suggests it's because of someone. Obviously enjoying how flustered she is, Doan tries to make a professional exit, offering to get him a catalog, but Ian stops her cold. He asks if she's avoiding him, or if this is how her gallery treats all collectors. Stunned by the power move, she asks if he's actually buying art. He just coolly replies, "It's not like I can't." Cornered, Doan reluctantly agrees to show him around, but not without a sharp jab about whether he can actually afford it. She professionally introduces Island of the Starry Night, one of the gallery's most prized paintings. Ian admires its unique warmth, and with a sly grin, he notes that manager Yun seems to like it. He then shocks her by casually declaring I'll buy it, partly because he thought she would like it too. Panicked, Doan refuses the gesture, saying she's met his fiancé, leaving Ian completely baffled by her sudden protest. Trying to stop the sale, Doan questions if his fiancé is okay with him spending so much money. Anne is completely baffled, having no idea what fiancé she's talking about. Before she can explain, he takes control of the situation. He professionally instructs manager Yun to process the purchase, cutting her off when she tries to protest. He then lays down his condition: his representative will handle the paperwork, but Doan must personally deliver the artwork to a time and place of his choosing, leaving her completely cornered. Panicked, Doan asks why she has to be the one to deliver the painting and what he'll do if she refuses. Ian leans in with a smirk, threatening to file a formal complaint against the gallery about her unprofessional attitude. Checkmate. Trying a different angle, she reminds him he'd be shocked by the artwork's price. But Ian dismisses her concern entirely. He gets closer, his voice low, and drops a bombshell: he's not buying the art, he's buying her time. As memories of Hawaii flash through her mind, he tells her to quote the highest price possible. Panicked, Doan desperately tries to stop the sale. She blurts out that she's met his fiancé, questioning if he should really be spending his future wife's money on her. But Anne is completely clueless, looking at her like she's grown a second head. Fiancé, whose money? Before she can get another word in, he seizes control again. In a cold, professional tone, he orders manager Yoon to process the purchase. He shuts down her protests, scolds her for her informal language, and gives her a final command: 2 days. He has her completely trapped. Panicked, Doan questions why she has to be the one to deliver the painting and what he'll do if she refuses. Ian leans in with a smug look, threatening to file a formal complaint against the gallery for her unprofessionalism. Trying a new tactic, she points out the painting's massive price tag, hoping to scare him off. But Ian isn't fazed. He gets closer and reveals his true goal: he isn't buying the artwork, he's buying her time. The sudden closeness triggers a flood of memories of their intense nights together back in Hawaii. Ian's voice drops low, ordering her to quote the highest price possible. His words trigger a vivid flashback to their intense connection in Hawaii, leaving Doan completely stunned. Before she can even form a sentence, he steps back with a smirk. Own Doan. That he'll see her in 2 days, then turns and leaves without another word. A coworker rushes over, asking who the handsome stranger was, but Doan is hit with a mortifying realization: after everything, she never even learned his name. Her coworker immediately starts fangirling, teasing Doan about how close she seemed with the handsome stranger and promising to keep it a secret. Blushing hard, Doan denies everything, explaining that he already has someone. As she walks away, her mind races. Why did he show up now, after all this time? And what about his supposed fiancé? Her spiraling is cut short when someone yells her name, snapping her back to reality. It's the gallery's CEO, who confirms the collect finalized in 2 days and orders Doan to prepare the documents perfectly. The CEO announces she'll handle the contract personally, which is highly unusual. Apparently, the mystery collector specifically requested it. With her heart pounding, Doan explains the collector's real condition: he wants her to deliver the painting herself. The CEO is initially shocked and ready to refuse, but then quickly spins it as a sign of trust and orders Doan to comply. She then gets suspicious, asking what Doan's relationship is with him, revealing he's paying the full, insane price up front just for a private explanation of the artwork from her. The CEO's question sends Doan right back to Hawaii. She vividly recalls Ian's intense gaze and his low voice telling her he wasn't buying art, he was buying her time. Snapping back to the present, Doan admits they've met privately before. The CEO, clearly not buying her vague explanation, dismisses her. But just as Doan reaches the door, her boss calls her back, only to hesitate and tell her to forget it. Doan leaves the office, completely confused by her boss's suspicious behavior and still reeling from Ian's return. Elsewhere, Ian gets an earful over the phone about his impulsive art purchase. His friend doesn't buy their investment excuse and asks if this is really about that woman. With a sly grin, Ian admits it is. His friend warns him that Doan left without a word, but Ian is determined to find out why she disappeared. Meanwhile, Doan realizes that seeing him again has stirred up old feelings. We learn Ian's move was completely calculated, part of a bigger plan to get close to her again, earning him a new title. Ian ends his call with Liam, a smug grin plastered on his face. He looks out at the city, knowing tomorrow is the day his plan kicks into high gear. The next morning, Doan arrives at a lavish private residence with the painting and her team. And who's there to greet them? None other than Ian himself. Moana, deliberately using her fake name. Flustered, Doan corrects him, insisting he call her manager Un. Once the artwork is set down and the crew leaves, she's finally trapped, completely alone with him. Ian dismisses her professionally, thanking her for her work. Doan, seeing her chance to escape this awkward situation, announces that she'll be leaving now. But Ian isn't letting her go that easily. He stops her, coolly stating they need to check the artwork's certificate of authenticity. Internally, Doan panics, wondering why she always gets so flustered around him. Suddenly, Ian closes the distance between them. Before she can react, he gently lifts her chin, his intense gaze locking onto hers. The professional barrier has just been completely shattered. Stunned, Doan demands to know what he's doing. Ian notices she's biting her lip out of nervousness and calmly tells her not to hurt herself. This guy is way too observant. Trying to regain some professional control, Doan asks where they should check the artwork, internally calling him a sly fox. But Ian isn't having it. He simply gestures for Mana to sit down. Doan refuses, insisting he call her Manager Yun. With a smug look, he says he doesn't want to. Annoyed, she blurts out an informal "you," which only makes him smile. Ian smirks, teasing that he thought she had forgotten his name. Doan is completely flustered. How could she ever forget the man from Hawaii? Relieved, Ian says that's good, but he's not done messing with her. He asks how long she plans on calling him Seo, when he has a real name, too. He turns to lead her to the artwork, leaving her no room to escape. As she follows, Doan internally recalls what she learned from his fiancé, that his name is Lim Jackson. Oh boy, she's got it all wrong. Ian tells her to leave the artwork alone so they can talk. But Doan is too flustered. She can feel his intense gaze on her, making her heart feel like it's about to burst. Pushing through the awkwardness, she insists she can handle it. But as she tries to adjust the heavy frame, she loses her footing and stumbles backward with a yelp. In a flash, Ian lunges forward, catching her firmly by the waist. The surprise is clear on his face if he asks if she's hurt, all professional boundaries now shattered. Held firmly in his arms, Doan's mind is racing. This guy was more worried about her than the multi-million-dollar artwork. Her heart pounds in her chest. Why is he treating her so kindly? It makes absolutely no sense. Snapping out of it, she quickly pulls away, trying to put some professional distance between them. But Ian isn't letting her off the hook that easily. He smoothly offers her a drink, but Doan immediately shuts him down. She states firmly that she doesn't drink while on duty. Nice try, buddy. Ian smirks at her professional excuse. No drinking while working, huh? He muses to himself. Taking a sip from his own glass, he coolly declares that if that's the case, he'll just have to make this end quickly. Doan panics, telling him it's fine and that he doesn't need to help her anymore. He feigns confusion, asking what she means. Backpedaling, she explains she just won't get in his way. Desperate to escape, she quickly presents the artwork's paperwork and tries to leave, but he isn't letting her go that easily. With the business concluded, Ian tells the stubborn Doan to drop the formalities. He wants to talk on a personal level, but she instantly refuses, seeing no reason to. Unfazed, Ian closes the distance, slamming his hand against the wall next to her head. He insists they do have things to discuss. Leaning in close, he states she already knows the real reason he bought the painting. It wasn't for business. It was to clear up the misunderstandings between them. Specifically, he wants to talk about the fiancé she mentioned, leaving Doan completely stunned. After dropping that bombshell, Ian doesn't wait for an answer. He gently takes her hand and leads her over to the couch. Cornered, Doan decides to stop running and face the music. She sits down with a newfound resolve and agrees to talk. She suggests they have an honest conversation, admitting she has a lot she's curious about too. In her mind, she knows it's true. She really wants to find out what kind of man he is. A slow smile spreads across Ian's face. He tells her it finally feels like they're connecting, just as she takes a long drink. Ian warns her not to drink too fast, but Doan waves it off, insisting she can handle it. He lets her ask the first question, and she gets straight to the point. Why did it take him so long to show up again? Ian clarifies that it wasn't for lack of trying. A memory of one of their passionate nights in Hawaii flashes through her mind. He explains that the girl who said she liked him left without any contact info, so it took him a while to track her down. It's his turn now, and he asks why she disappeared. Stunned, Doan listens as Ian finally explains himself. He admits he went to her penthouse late that night, just because he wanted to see her. But when the door opened, it wasn't Doan on the other side. Instead, he came face to face with his supposed fiancé. Doan's mind races, connecting the dots. She reminds him that just 2 days ago, he claimed his fiancé was his financial backer. So why, she asks, did a completely different blonde woman introduce herself as the fiancé of a man named Liam Jackson? The story just isn't adding up. Ian suddenly scoffs, leaving Doan completely stunned. She angrily asks if he finds her story amusing. Apologizing, runs a hand over his frustrated face, saying it's just an unexpectedly interesting situation. He explains that it's absurd to be toyed with like this by Samantha. Then he drops the biggest bombshell yet: he has no fiancé. He has never been engaged. Before Doan can even process this shocking twist, Ian states firmly that he knows exactly who that mysterious blonde woman is, leaving her speechless. Ian drops another bomb. declaring he would never choose a woman like that as his fiancée. Suddenly, a memory of Samantha confessing her deep love for Liam flashes in Doan's mind. It all clicks into place. It was a total lie, a scheme to separate her from Ian. Just as she's absorbing this shocking betrayal, a phone starts ringing. Confused, Doan realizes Ian is calling Samantha himself. He explains that simply denying it isn't enough proof. With a smirk, he suggests they just ask the lawyer directly and settle this now. As Anne's phone rings out, Doan is convinced it's pointless. It's way too early in New York, there's no way Samantha will pick up. But suddenly, a cheerful voice explodes from the speaker, happily calling out Ian's name. Samantha sounds absolutely delighted, teasing that she's touched he reached out first. Doan's blood runs cold. She recognizes that voice instantly. It's the blonde woman from that night. Playing along, Ian calmly asks if she knows who's calling. Without missing a beat, Samantha confirms it's none other than Ian McKinley. With Samantha on the line, Ian gets straight to the point, asking her why she's telling people they're engaged. Completely flustered, Samantha stammers out weak excuses, saying she just wished it were true, since his family likes her. Suddenly, Ian flips his phone around, putting Doan on the video call. Samantha's face drains of color as she sees the very woman she lied to. Before she can recover, Ian delivers a chilling final verdict. He declares she crossed a line and he'll no longer treat her as a friend's sister, let alone a fiancée. Ian delivers a brutal final warning, telling Samantha to never appear in front of him again. Before she can even respond, he hangs up and blocks her number right in front of Doan, shutting her down for good. With a smirk, he declares that this should finally settle the fiancé rumor. As they sit down, Doan is still processing everything. The name Samantha said suddenly clicks in her mind. Ian. He sees her confused look and finally introduces himself properly, confirming that his full name is indeed Ian McKinley. Ian corrects her, stating his full name is Ian Kim McKinley. Doan's eyes widen as the pieces start to click. She cautiously asks if his father is the governor of California, and he confirms it. Then, the name, Kim, hits Herm's group, the massive global company. Ian reveals its chairman is his grandfather. Suddenly, it all makes sense. The penthouse, the private jet, he's the heir. Feeling a world apart, she formally apologizes to Mr. McKinley, but he gently insists she just call him on. Doan pulls back, her mind made up. She tells Ian she wants to leave their time together as a fond memory. He can call her a coward, she says, but their worlds are just too different, and it will only lead to pain. A traumatic memory suddenly surfaces. Her own mother being violently rejected for dating a doctor from a wealthy family. Doan knows how this story ends. She declares that she refuses to walk down that same painful path, unwilling to get hurt by love that feels impossible. Ian just listens silently. Ian breaks his silence, his voice low as he asks who decided it was over. His intense gaze reveals a side of him Doan hasn't seen before. He declares that while she may have started this, he will be the one to finish it. Startled, Doan announces she's leaving and tries to stand up, but Ian is faster. He grabs her arm, physically stopping her from running away. She pleads with him to let them end things cleanly, but he coldly questions if their connection was ever simple enough to just settle. Doan tries to create distance, stating their worlds are different and she can't afford to just play around with a young master like him. She firmly declares that they are over, but Ian doesn't back down. Instead, he smoothly steps forward, acknowledging her words. With a serious look, he leans in close and tells her he never had any intention of just playing around. Before she can process it, he pulls her in by the waist, leaving her stunned. He confirms that he meant every single word. Held firmly in his arms, Doan can only whisper Ian's name. He leans in, promising this is the last time he'll ask, and demands she be honest. With his hand gently caressing her ear, he asks if she truly hated meeting him again. A shiver runs through her as she reluctantly admits she didn't. He pushes further, asking about their time together. Cornered by his intense gaze, Doan finally confesses she didn't hate that either. A deep breath is his only response before he declares it's his turn to be honest. Ian leans in, finally revealing his own honest feelings. He declares that he never had any intention of just playing around and leaving her. Before Doan can even process his words, he pulls her into a deep, passionate kiss. A single thought crosses her mind. She knows this could end in pain, but she finds herself completely unable to refuse him. The intense moment escalates, and the scene shifts. It's clear their reunion has taken a much more intimate turn, with Ian now in complete control of the situation. The situation escalates as Ian takes complete control. Doan tries to call him by his old nickname, but he immediately corrects her. He states that there is no Neo, only McKinley. Leaning in close, he confesses how much he missed her and makes a firm promise that he won't ever let her go again. His intense gaze pins her down as he calls her by both her names, Mon and No, Yoon Doan, making it clear that their Hawaiian fling has just become dangerously real. Ian's version of honesty isn't spoken with words, but shown through pure action. He pulls her in, leaving no space for arguments or hesitation. Overwhelmed by the raw intensity of the moment, Do-eun's defenses completely melt away. Any resolve she had to push him away vanishes into the night. The powerful connection they first shared in Hawaii comes rushing back with undeniable force. It becomes clear that their reunion has just taken a much more intimate turn, with Do-eun losing herself completely in his embrace. Eun wastes no time proving his words with pure action, leaving Do-eun completely flustered and breathless. Caught completely off guard, her mind races. She's shocked by the sheer intensity of the situation he has created. Her thoughts reveal that his unexpected method is far more overwhelming than she could have ever imagined. Any last bit of her composure melts away under his confident touch. The powerful connection they shared in Hawaii rushes back, leaving her completely at his mercy. Completely overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment, Do-eun admits she can't hold back any longer. Eun voices his relief, confessing as at his limit too. Their passionate reunion reignites, picking up exactly where their Hawaiian nights left off. But the scene cuts to a shocking moment later. Do-eun is in a bedroom with none other than her trash ex, Jinwuk. She angrily tells him off for ripping her stockings when she has an appointment later. Unfazed, the scumbag just smirks, saying he finds it more exciting that way. Jinwuk dismisses Do-eun's frustration over her ruined stockings, callously asking what the big deal is since he can just buy her a new pair. But for Do-eun, his outburst triggers a devastating realization. To a wealthy chaebol like him, her career and her feelings mean nothing. In that moment, she sees herself as he sees her, completely disposable. The stockings become a symbol of her own fate, something to be used for his convenience and then easily cast aside once she's no longer useful, leaving her feeling utterly helpless. As the moment intensifies, Do-eun's thoughts spiral. She remembers how the last man who said he loved her abandoned her without mercy. Suddenly, she's overwhelmed with doubt, wondering if Eun will ultimately be the same. This crippling fear causes her to pull away abruptly. Noticing her distress, a concerned Eun asks what's wrong. Do-eun quickly apologizes, unable to continue, insisting it's her problem, not his. Trying to understand, Eun guesses it might be because he ripped her stockings, a comment that hits way too close to home and leaves Do-eun completely mortified. Overwhelmed, Do-eun apologizes, explaining it's not his fault. She tells him they simply live in different worlds and that she's terrified of getting hurt again. But as she turns to leave, Eun suddenly stops her. He pulls her close and confesses his love for her, stunning her into silence. He acknowledges that words alone won't earn her trust, but he makes a solemn promise. No matter what, he will wait for her until she's ready. All Do-eun can manage is a quiet thank you, leaving Eun standing alone. Left alone after his intense confession, Eun can't get Do-eun off his mind, a slight blush warming his face. Later, he's confronted by his associate, Liam Jackson, who storms in looking seriously annoyed. He demands to know why Eun wasn't answering his phone. Longing on the couch, Eun casually fiddles with a pearl hair clip. One Do-eun must have left behind. Without even looking up, he bluntly states he didn't answer because it was annoying. Liam is left completely speechless by his boss's blatant dismissal and laid-back attitude. Liam finally explodes, yelling at Eun for all the trouble he's caused by going off-grid. He rants about Eun's sudden retirement announcement, which has thrown the art world into a frenzy. To make matters worse, Liam has been left to deal with Eun's angry family and a very upset Samantha. But Eun is completely unbothered, coolly stating that handling these messes is Liam's job. While Liam reels from the cold response, Eun reflects on Do-eun, realizing she was projecting her trashy ex onto him. He then cryptically tells Liam that Do-eun has no fantasies, leaving him utterly confused. Liam continues to lecture his boss, insisting that love has to be between people who are compatible. He seriously doubts Do-eun can handle the pressure of being within hair, warning that Eun's father, Mr. McKinley, will absolutely oppose the match. Unbothered, Eun coolly states he doesn't need his father's opinion. Liam presses further, reminding him just how influential his father, Logan McKinley, really is. While the public sees a handsome politician, Eun knows the grim reality. His father is a user who sees his own son as nothing but a political tool. Liam insists that if Eun pursues this, Do-eun will be the one who gets hurt. Eun considers this for a moment, asking if Liam thinks he should let her go for her own sake. But any doubt vanishes as he silently resolves not to give up. He turns to his panicking assistant and calmly agrees that he's not a generous person. That's why he only thinks of himself. Declaring he needs to return to the US to handle things properly, he gives a clear command: make an appointment with the director of the DM gallery tomorrow. After the whole chaotic situation with Eun, Do-eun meets up with her pregnant bestie, Mayeon, to talk things out. Mayeon is completely shocked that Do-eun just ran away, convinced that Samantha is only after Eun because he's a rich heir. But her concern quickly turns to giddy excitement as she grills Do-eun for all the details. She reminds Do-eun that Eun is on a totally different level than her scummy ex. As Do-eun blushes, she remembers their intense connection, admitting to herself that she left because she was terrified of getting her heart broken again. Do-eun's mind wanders, replaying a scene that never happened. She can't help but wonder what would have occurred if she hadn't run away from Ian that night. Her imagination runs wild with an intensely passionate fantasy where he takes complete control. In this daydream, his closeness makes her thoughts melt away, leaving her utterly breathless. He confidently asks how she likes the situation, and seeing her overwhelmed reaction, he simply takes it as a compliment. This powerful vision proves just how deep their connection was, and why she was so terrified. Doan's fantasy continues, playing out the intense connection she felt with Ian. She imagines him holding her close, their passion reaching a peak as he whispers her name. In this perfect daydream, he even confesses his love, leaving her completely stunned and breathless. But just like that, the vision shatters. The scene cuts back to reality, where Doan is sitting completely still at her desk in the Dime gallery. A concerned coworker approaches, asking if she's okay since she hasn't moved an inch, snapping her out of her daze. Startled, Doan snaps out of her daze and assures her coworker she's fine. Trying to clear her head, she forces herself to focus on her job. Her thoughts turn to a mysterious master photographer named Neo, whose famous piece, Night of Starlight, sold for an insane price at a major auction. She recalls seeing it at an exhibition in New York 2 years ago and being completely blown away. The beautiful sea of stars reminds her of another night, one she spent with Ian, looking up at the sky at Haleakala, where he gently asked if he could kiss her. Trying to shake off the memories, Doan forces herself to work, but it's no use. The name, Neo, keeps bringing her right back to Ian. She checks her email to Straxf and instantly freezes. There it is, a reply she's been desperately waiting for. Her hands tremble as she opens it. The world-famous photographer Neo has accepted her gallery's exhibition proposal. Overcome with joy, she covers her mouth to stifle a scream. Just as she's celebrating her massive win, her desk phone rings. It's the CEO, and she picks up, ready to deliver the amazing news. On the phone, the CEO summons Doan to his office. Thinking she's about to deliver the news of a lifetime, she heads over immediately. But when she steps through the door, her world stops dead. Sitting casually on the couch is none other than Ian, the man from Hawaii. Before she can even react, a senior employee introduces him as Ian McKinley. Barely holding it together, Doan forces a professional smile and greets him, but inside, her mind is racing. This can't be happening, the senior employee, noticing the thick atmosphere, politely offers to leave them alone, but she quickly explains that Ian was just there to say his goodbyes. The news hits Doan like a truck. Goodbye. Calmly confirms he's returning to the US soon. Doan's mind goes blank. He's leaving so suddenly. But she hasn't even given him an answer yet. As she struggles to process this, Ian watches her reaction closely, a knowing look on his face as he silently questions her obvious disappointment. Playing it cool, Ian formally thanks Doan for her kindness, keeping a professional distance. As Doan tries to ask if he'll ever return to Korea, the CEO's phone suddenly buzzes. It's her divorce lawyer, and she immediately looks stressed. She hesitates, not wanting to be rude to their VIP guest. Seeing his chance, Ian politely urges her to take the call. When she tries to refuse, he insists, basically ordering her to leave. With no other choice, the CEO excuses herself, leaving Doan completely alone with the last person she wanted to see. Now completely alone, Doan asks if he's really going back. With a calm smile, Ian confirms he only came for a short visit. Visibly disappointed, Doan can only mutter that she understands. Seeing right through her, Ian leans in and asks if she's sad about his departure. Flustered, she immediately denies it and offers a weak congratulations. He smirks, teasing that her reaction is making him sad now. He then asks if she always leaves things lying around, or if it was just for him, leaving her completely speechless. A flustered Doan demands to know what he's talking about. With a sly smile, Ian calmly informs her that she left something important at his place. Her mind flashes back to their passionate nights in Hawaii. She remembers how their intense connection completely overwhelmed her, making her forget everything else. Trying to regain some control, she stammers that there won't be a next time anyway, since they won't be meeting again. But Ian just smirks, dropping a bomb by asking whoever said he wasn't coming back to Korea. Doan is completely stunned. Does that mean he's coming back to Korea? Just as she's processing this, the CEO rushes back into the room, apologizing for keeping him waiting. Ian plays it cool, telling the CEO it was no problem since he got to spend some time chatting with her. Doan can't help but feel a wave of disappointment. Their private moment is over, and she's left secretly wondering if she was the real reason he decided to return. With business concluded, Ian thanks them and announces it's time for him to go. Just as he's about to leave, Ian stops. He pulls out a fancy gift bag, explaining a token of his gratitude, and he hopes she'll like it. Doan is completely caught off guard, telling him he really didn't have to do this. Ignoring her protests, he calmly encourages her to open it. Inside, she's stunned to find an extremely expensive bottle of champagne. She stammers in surprise, and Ian just smiles, saying he prepared it in hopes that she'll have something to celebrate soon. What could he possibly mean by that? Then it clicks. A shocking thought hits Doan like a ton of bricks. Does he somehow know everything about her situation? As An walks away, he coolly wishes her good news and tells her to enjoy the gift. Her eyes land on the bottle. It's an insanely expensive Armand de Brignac, the same brand he gifted her boss. This wasn't just a casual present. Flustered, she glances over at him, only to see him looking back with a calm, knowing smile. Oh yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing. Doan's face burns as she watches him leave, her mind racing. A flashback hits her hard. She remembers that day in Hawaii, how she ran from him at first, her guilt over Jinwuk holding her back. But she quickly realized the intense connection she felt with Ian was on a completely different level. Snapping back to the present, she flinches as N suddenly appears right behind her. He quietly apologizes, admitting he should have been more considerate back then, especially since he was the one who wanted her. His confession leaves her utterly speechless. Doan is totally flustered. She realizes that for him to apologize first, he must have swallowed his pride. It finally sinks in that none of this was his fault. She was the one projecting trauma from her dirtbag ex onto him. Her mind flashes back to their passionate nights in Hawaii. It wasn't just a fleeting encounter, they shared a genuine, sincere connection. The memory is cut short by another thought, her colleague telling her that Mr. McKinley had already left for America, making her believe that whirlwind connection was lost for good. With the air cleared between them, Doan feels a sense of relief wash over her. She can finally look back on their time in Hawaii as a good memory instead of a complicated mess. Ian tells her this is where they part ways, and she agrees, though it feels like a farewell that's both too soon and long overdue. Deciding to end things on a positive note, she puts on a beautiful smile. With a calm and steady voice, she bids a final, formal goodbye to Mr. McKinley, ready to move on. Just as Doan puts on a brave face for their final goodbye, Ian totally switches things up. He extends his hand for a formal handshake. Slightly flustered, she accepts it. With a confident smirk, he tells her that he'll be in touch. The words hang in the air, leaving Doan completely stunned. As she watches him walk away, she tries to brush it off. She convinces herself it was just a polite saying, nothing more. To her, this chapter was closed, and he was just a passing breeze. A few days later, the atmosphere at work is totally off. A colleague rushes past Doan, busy on an important call with the CEO. She quickly tells Doan that an artist just replied and dismisses her for now, leaving Doan completely puzzled. Sitting at her desk, she tries to focus but can't shake the heavy feeling of emptiness. Despite her best efforts to forget him, she admits to herself that she can't stop thinking about Ian. He has completely taken over her thoughts. Suddenly, a loud gasp cuts through the quiet office. Doan looks over to see a coworker staring at her screen in total shock. Rushing to her side, Doan asks what's wrong. The panicked colleague stammers and tells her manager that she needs to read an article she just shared, right now. Confused, Doan returns to her desk and pulls up the link. The headline hits her like a truck. DM Gallery's CEO has initiated divorce proceedings. Doan is completely floored by the bombshell news. This changes everything at work. Doan's mind races. With the divorce plastered all over the news, her ex's career is on the line. The CEO of DM Gallery could actually be replaced. She knows she needs to find out what's happening. At that moment, a phone rings. The call is for Choi Surin, Jinwook's wife. A frantic employee asks if she's seen the article and if she's okay. Surin coolly replies that she's fine. But then we see who she's really talking to. It's Ian. He casually sips his drink and asks why she called him so late. Doan's mind races as she processes the shocking news article. With the CEO of DM Gallery getting a divorce, her ex-boyfriend's career could be completely ruined. She knows she has to find out what's going on. Just then, a phone begins to ring. The call is for Choi Surin, Jinwook's wife. A frantic employee asks if she's seen the article. Surin calmly says she's fine, but the scene reveals who she's really speaking to. It's Ian, relaxing with a drink, asking why she called him at this hour. On the other end of the line, Choi Surin sounds completely drained. She tells Ian she's worried about the news, but he's totally unconcerned. With a smug smile, he reminds her that his advice was solid. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense. He then casually announces he's returning to Seoul soon. In the next moment, he's on the phone with Doan, boldly asking for a date. Flustered, Doan realizes that no matter how much she pushes him away, he only comes closer, and she doesn't mind. Taking a leap, she nervously invites him to her gallery's new exhibition. A knock sounds at the office door. Doan enters to find her boss, Choi Surin, who immediately drops a bombshell. She was the one who leaked the divorce articles. Doan is floored. Surin explains her in-laws were forcing her out of the gallery anyway, so she took some advice and decided to strike first. Looking genuinely relieved, she announces she's leaving and tells Doan to get along with the new CEO. In fact, they've just arrived. A wave of dread washes over Doan, who never expected to meet them like this. An employee announces the arrival of the new CEO, and Doan nervously wonders what kind of person her new boss will be. The sound of confident footsteps echoes through the office as a woman in a sharp suit approaches. Doan begins a polite greeting but freezes mid-sentence. Standing before her is none other than Choi Surin, her ex-boyfriend's wife. With a cool smile, Surin says they already know each other. Doan is completely stunned, never imagining they would meet again with Surin as her new boss. Still reeling from the shock, Doan wonders if this is just a twisted coincidence or if her ex-boyfriend, Jinwuk, is somehow involved. A flashback reveals the truth. After Jinwuk told Surin about the open CEO position at DM Gallery, she instantly connected it to Doan. A sly, calculated smile spread across her face. This was no accident. In another memory, Surin is seen demanding the position from her grandmother, firmly stating her wish to become the new CEO of DM. It was her plan all along. The flashback shows Surin sweetly convincing her grandmother to give her the CEO position, easily getting her way. Back in the present, she smugly informs Doan that she has never failed to get what she wants. Doan is horrified, questioning how Surin could obtain such power so easily. Calling her knave, Surin decides to demonstrate her other qualifications. She reveals her final power move, a massive donation to the gallery, made publicly in her own name, cementing her authority and leaving Doan utterly speechless. To further assert her dominance, Surin shows Doan a famous painting. She casually reveals it's a gift from her grandmother and part of her own private collection. A priceless masterpiece called Brilliant Ripples. With a smug grin, she addresses the entire staff, announcing a bold new vision for the gallery that merges art and fashion. As everyone applauds her appointment, Surin's thoughts turn dark. She remembers her warning to Doyun in Hawaii and silently promises to make her work life a living nightmare. And just as promised, the harassment began immediately. And just like that, the new CEO's reign of terror began. Surin made a spectacle of publicly berating Doan, questioning her competence in front of the entire office. She systematically isolated her, leaving her out of key instructions and sabotaging her buyer meetings. The daily harassment was petty and relentless. The final blow came when Doan was forced to call an artist she'd personally scouted, apologizing as she handed the project over. A coworker watched, furious, calling it what it was, a blatant abuse of power. Surin summons Doan to her office, ready for another round of torment. She slams a report on the desk, declaring that, unlike the previous CEO, she won't let shoddy work slide. Trying to stay professional, Doan asks what the specific problem is. Surin just scoffs, claiming the entire thing is a mess and orders a complete do-over. But as Doan quietly agrees, Surin twists the knife. She tells Doan to use the same techniques on her work that she used back in Hawaii, a vicious and personal attack that leaves Doan stunned. Doan had a moment of clarity. She once hoped she could reason with Surin, keeping work separate from personal drama. But now, she understood. Some people never change. Doan playing the victim, Doan strode over to the CEO's desk. Surin, startled by her glare, demanded to know what was going on. In response, Doan firmly planted her foot down, an undeniable show of defiance. As Surin erupted in, Fuan calmly placed an envelope on the desk. She'd reached her limit. With a confident smile, she officially announced her resignation. Unfazed, Surin leans back with a smug look. She expresses her disappointment, calling Doan irresponsible for trying to quit right before the new artist exhibition. She frames the resignation as Doan running away from her duties. But Doan stands firm, denying the accusation completely. Changing her approach, Surin pretends to be reasonable, saying she won't force anyone to stay. However, she traps Doan with one final demand. She must stay in charge until the exhibition is over, framing it as a test of her company loyalty. Cornered, Doan reluctantly agrees. The day of the big exhibition is finally here, and Doan is all business, overseeing the final preparations. She asks her colleague if the fresh flowers have arrived yet. After a quick check, the colleague confirms they're on their way. With that sorted, Doan declares their side ready. But her junior colleague looks at her sadly, breaking the professional mood. She quietly asks if today is really Doan's last day at the company, catching the manager completely off guard with the sudden question. Her colleague can't hide her frustration, telling Doan it's unfair that she has to work so hard on her very last day. Doan simply smiles. She admits it would be a lie to say she doesn't feel wronged, but she's determined to see this through. This final push isn't for Surin or the gallery, she's doing it for herself. Meanwhile, a plane touches down late at night. As a familiar figure with purple top hair steps out, a car pulls up. The driver respectfully greets him as young master, asking if he should drive straight to the company. The driver gets a simple confirmation. In the back seat, Ian stares out the window, quietly thinking that he has finally returned to Seoul. The scene then flashes back to a tense conversation with his grandfather, the powerful founder of Chem's group. The chairman had tried to persuade Ian to stay, offering him a prime position at the head office. A much better deal than anything in Korea. But Ian was firm, insisting it had to be Seoul. Even when his grandfather pleaded for him to stay, Ian's resolve didn't waver, simply asking for permission to leave. As the flashback continues, Ian's grandfather knows this is all because of one person, Yoon Do-eun. He hates sending his only grandson away, but he recognizes that stubborn look in Ian's eyes. It's the same look Ian's mother had when she defied him to run away for love. Giving in, the chairman sets a firm condition: Ian has exactly 1 year in Seoul, and not a day more. Back in the present, an attendant announces the VIP's arrival. Jinwuk flinches, a bead of sweat on his brow, but Surin happily greets her mother and husband. Surin's mother arrives, and the atmosphere immediately chills. The woman coldly points out her empty glass, demanding Surin fix it. Jinwuk, looking nervous, tries to intervene by pointing out a nearby server. When that doesn't work, he offers to pour the drink himself. But his mother-in-law shuts him down. She singles out Do-eun, insisting that the manager personally serve her. Just as Do-eun is about to be publicly humiliated, a sharp voice cuts in, telling them to stop. It's Jinwuk, his face firm as he defies the VIP to protect Do-eun. Just as the confrontation hits a boiling point, the main event begins, cutting through the tension. An announcer takes the stage, thanking everyone for coming and giving special recognition to the matriarch, Madame Yoo Sim-deok, for generously sharing her work. After a polite round of applause for the smiling grandmother, Surin steps forward. With a confident look, she announces it's time to unveil the piece they've all been waiting for. A red curtain is pulled back, and the entire audience gasps, their eyes fixed on the stage. The painting is unveiled, a stunning ocean scene called Brilliant Ripples. As the audience gasps, Surin takes the microphone with a smug smile. In her mind, she mocks Do-eun, thinking she'll never have a chaebol husband or a masterpiece like this. Her speech begins by addressing the concerns people had about her youth. Then, her tone shifts. She starts listing shady dealings in the art world, like tax evasion and forgeries, all while staring daggers directly at a shocked Do-eun, making her true intentions crystal clear. Do-eun stands frozen in the crowd, completely baffled by Surin's pointed speech. On stage, Surin's smile turns venomous. She continues speaking, making thinly veiled accusations about people who use personal favors to climb the ladder. Vowing to clean up the art world, she pauses for dramatic effect before dropping the bombshell. With everyone's attention, she announces that a hard-working staff member will be leaving the gallery for certain reasons. The implication is clear, and for Do-eun, everything seems to shatter in an instant. Do-eun's blood runs cold as the true meaning of Surin's words clicks into place. The vague accusations are designed to make everyone think she used unethical favors to get ahead. Before she can even breathe, Surin's voice cuts through the room, calling out her full name. With a victorious smirk, Sirin announces that manager Yoon Do-eun's resignation has been processed, effective immediately. Publicly humiliated and fired, Do-eun can only stare in disbelief. She finally understands that this entire event was a trap designed to completely destroy her. The story flashes back 9 years. A younger Do-eun wakes up, casually thinking about skipping class for the day. But her lazy morning is shattered when she grabs her phone and sees it's been blown up with over 29 missed calls. Her friends are sending frantic messages, all asking if she's okay. Panicking, she immediately calls her friend Mayan, who warns her to stay calm. But it's too late. A shocking news article appears on her screen, featuring a deeply private photo that has been leaked for the entire world to see. Do-eun stares at her phone in disbelief, her mind reeling. Her face is on an intimate video she never made. The horrifying truth: it's an illegal deepfake, designed to completely ruin her. Cruel comments flooded the internet, and the video spread everywhere. In the days that followed, she couldn't go outside without facing whispers and stares from strangers. The memory of that unbearable shame rushes back, just as Surin's voice cuts to the silence at the gallery, calling out her name and pulling her back into a new nightmare. With a microphone in hand, Surin smirks at Do-eun, asking why she hasn't left yet but calling for bodyguards to escort her out. As security grabs her, Do-eun refuses to go quietly. She shouts that Surin is accusing her of using unethical favors to advance her career and demands proof. But the crowd has already turned against her, whispering about how vulgar she is. Nearby, Jinwook's mother scoffs, telling her son it's a good thing someone like Do-eun never married into their family. Jinwook just stands there, looking deeply troubled. Meanwhile, Ian McKinley arrives at the gallery, looking powerful in his suit. He checks the time, noting impatiently that the person he came to see is running late. A staff member timidly welcomes him, but he cuts straight to the point, asking for manager Yoon Do-eun. The employee hesitates, clearly unsure what to say. Before she can answer, a sharp voice interrupts them. It's Surin, who coolly informs Ian that there's no need to search for Do-eun, implying she's already been dealt with. Surin coolly tells Ian that Yoon Do-eun is no longer one of their employees. With a smirk, she lies, saying Do-eun followed her to the restroom for a final bye, is probably gone by now. But the reality is far more brutal. Do-eun shoves the guards' hands off her, demanding they let go so she can walk out on her own. Stumbling away, she's completely crushed by the public humiliation. Tears stream down her face as she wonders why something so awful is happening to her. 3 days later, Doan is still reeling from the humiliation. She's trapped in a terrible nightmare, forced to relive the gallery incident. In her dream, a spotlight pins her down as a faceless crowd judges her. She frantically denies the accusations, shouting that she's never filmed any inappropriate videos or been involved in such shameful activities. But no one listens, they just whisper and stare. The weight of their judgment is suffocating, and she jolts awake in a cold sweat, gasping for breath. The memory is a wound that won't stop bleeding. Doan is pulled from her dark thoughts by her ringing phone. It's her friend, Mayan. Answering the call, Doan is met with a frantic voice asking if she's okay. Mayan heard everything about the gallery disaster and offers to come over immediately. Trying to protect her pregnant friend from stress, Doan lies, insisting she's fine and that Mayan should enjoy her family trip. She even brings up a past incident, claiming she's tough enough to handle it. But the moment the call ends, her strong facade crumbles. The truth is, she's not okay at all. Alone in her room, Doan questions what she did to deserve this fate. The public humiliation at the gallery plays on a loop in her mind. The shame, the judgment, the crushing weight of it all. This feels painfully familiar. She recalls the incident from 9 years ago when she fought back and took the people who spread a malicious video to court. Even though she won, the emotional scars never faded. The memory of her father telling her she has a right to be happy feels like a cruel joke now. Her father's voice, once a source of comfort, now feels like a distant echo. She has no strength left to lean on his words of encouragement. As Doan sinks into despair, her doorbell rings, snapping her out of the haze. Who could possibly be here? She hasn't told her family what happened, so she isn't expecting any visitors. Confused, she walks to the door and cautiously asks who it is. A familiar voice replies from the other side, "It's me." Doan's eyes widen in absolute shock and disbelief. Hesitantly, Doanar, her eyes widening in disbelief. It's Ian. He looks at her with a soft expression, telling her he thought she might need him. Calling her Moana, he admits that he missed her. A storm of questions erupts in Doan's mind. How did he find her? Does he know what happened at the gallery? But before she can voice any of them, he steps forward and pulls her into a tight, warm hug. As she leans into his embrace, all her frantic thoughts fade away, replaced by a single, simple truth: she missed him too. Meanwhile, back at the gallery, Jinwuk's new wife, Choi Surin, enjoys her victory with a smug smile. She sips her wine, feeling satisfied that everything has returned to its proper place. In her mind, she scolds Doan for being so arrogant and not knowing her station. Elsewhere, Doan escapes the restroom to splash water on her face, trying to recover from the ordeal. But she's startled when another woman enters, questioning if Doan's behavior was really necessary and making a snide remark about how she thought this was a competent company. The woman corners Doan, demanding to know why she caused such a scene. Doan is completely baffled, having no idea what she's talking about. Suddenly, the woman's tone shifts, becoming informal and dripping with scorn. She mocks Doan, suggesting that quitting Ja has made her fearless. With a vicious smirk, she tells Doan to struggle all she wants because she will never reveal the truth behind her actions. The story then flashes back to an exclusive party a few years ago, where this whole twisted affair first began. The scene cuts to a flashback at a high-end party. A guest spots Lee Jinwuk, the handsome director of the Grand Hotel. Suddenly, a woman in a red dress, Choi Surin, confidently walks up to Jinwuk. She flirts openly, asking if he remembers her. But Jinwuk shuts her down cold, bluntly stating that he doesn't. He turns away to answer his phone, leaving her shocked and embarrassed. Just then, a familiar voice calls his name. It's Doan, looking radiant as she apologizes for making him wait. Jinwuk compliments Doan, telling her she looks beautiful. Watching from afar, the rejected Sirin is filled with jealousy. She scoffs at Doan's appearance, but her resolve only hardens. She declares that she will have Jinwuk no matter what. Later, Surin eavesdrops on a meeting where she learns Jinwuk's hotel needs an investor. This is her chance. She bursts in and makes a shocking proposal to her grandmother: invest in the hotel, and in return Surin will take responsibility by marrying him. Her expression shows she is dead serious. Surin's plan succeeded, she had finally gotten her man. But during an intimate night together, her victory soared. She suddenly stopped, shocked by Jinwuk's complete emotional distance. To her fury, Surin realized he was thinking about Doan. She might have his body, but she had failed to win his heart. A twisted smirk crept across her face as she came to a dark conclusion. That was fine by her. The real thrill wasn't love, it was the satisfaction of taking what belonged to someone else. For Surin, the twisted satisfaction of taking what belonged to Doan was more intoxicating than anything. She confronts Doan in the bathroom, smugly stating she did her a favor. Surin unleashes a torrent of insults, calling Doan pathetic for trying to get by on her looks. But Doan, completely unfazed, fires back. She calls Surin a spoiled child who throws tantrums to get her way. Before a stunned Surin can react, Doan drops a bombshell, questioning how Surin dares to act so pure when her family grew up on dirty money. Surin scoffs, sneering that this is what happens when you entertain people beneath you. They start thinking they're equals. She unleashes a vicious insult, bringing up Doan's past in Hawaii and telling her to stop following her around. Disgusted, Doan can only glare as Surin grabs her, sharply reminding her that she's the CEO now. With a condescending smile, Surin says she'll make sure Doan gets unemployment benefits, since she'll never find work again. In her mind, Surin is completely victorious, wondering what a nobody like Doan could possibly do against her now. Jinwuk tries to get Surin to stop, but she just bursts out laughing like a madwoman. Lost in her own twisted victory, she stares into the distance and declares that she has finally won. Meanwhile, Doan isn't home, trying to drink away the pain of her terrible day. Suddenly, Ian appears at her door. She weakly asks why he's there. He simply tells her he was worried and pulls her into a comforting embrace, making it clear she's not as alone as she thinks. Ian holds her close, softly asking if she's okay. But Doan is at her breaking point. Tears stream down her face as she confesses she can't sleep. The horrible memories just keep replaying in her mind. Clutching his shirt, she desperately begs him to make her forget everything, to give her an escape from the pain. Seeing her complete vulnerability, Ian understands and agrees to her plea. He leans in, offering a connection so intense it silences all the noise in her head, at least for one night. He keeps his promise, giving Doan the escape she so desperately craved. The comforting embrace quickly deepens into something much more profound, a connection so overwhelming it silences all the noise in her head. For the first time since her world fell apart, the painful memories and stinging insults finally fade away. In their place is only the raw, undeniable intensity between them. That night, Ian creates a world where only the two of them exist, a temporary refuge from all the hurt, leaving the past behind in a tangle of sheets. In his kitchen, Ian softly asks Doan if she'd like to eat. Hesitantly, she requests a sandwich, explaining it's her comfort food for both good and bad days. Ian finds her choice interesting, noting that it isn't alcohol. He then tells her to just give him the recipe and go rest. When Doan seems confused, he looks at her directly and states his intention to make it for her himself. Without waiting for a response, Ian heads to the counter, picks up a knife, and begins preparing the food. Ian places the finished sandwich in front of Doan, who looks on in disbelief. It's an exact replica of her comfort food. At his gentle urging, she takes a hesitant bite. The familiar taste immediately brings relief, but it also unlocks a bittersweet memory of her late father. He had promised to make her sandwiches whenever she struggled. Overwhelmed by Ian's unexpected kindness mirroring her father's care, Doan can't hold back her emotions. Tears stream down her face as she quietly continues to eat the comforting meal he prepared for her. As Doan eats, Ian gently wipes a tear from her cheek, lightly joking that she'll make the sandwich too salty. Gathering herself, she finally asks him why he came all the way to Korea. Ian simply replies that he was transferred to Seoul. Unconvinced, Doan wonders if it was just for business, not for her. Sensing her uncertainty, Ian reaches across the table and takes her hand. He clarifies that while he was coming to Seoul anyway, the true purpose of his trip was to see her. His direct confession leaves Doan speechless. As Ian takes a bite of the sandwich, the taste shocks him. It's amazing. Though the memory is blurry, the flavor is identical to what he remembers from a long time ago. His mind flashes back 10 years to a moment when a kind girl in a cap approached him. Seeing he was down, she asked if he was hungry, offering him an extra sandwich. Back in the present, Ian finally understands. The sandwich Doan made for him has the exact same comforting taste as the one she gave him back then. The story cuts to a chilling memory from Ian's past, revealing the moment he first discovered his father's infidelity. As a young boy, Ian is startled awake from a nightmare and calls for his mother. She quickly comes to comfort him, inviting the child into her bed. She wishes him good night, telling him she loves him. Just as he settles, strange sounds echo from his father's room. Confused, Ian asks his mother about the noise, but she remains silent, her face a mask of quiet suffering, marking the beginning of a deep-seated trauma. Ian recalls the painful truth about his family. His father had been unfaithful throughout the entire marriage, carelessly moving from one woman to another. The man arrogantly assumed his wife loved him too much to ever leave. But he was wrong. He remembers his mother's final words to him before her hand went limp, marking the day she left them forever. Standing at her rainy funeral, a young Ian was crushed by a single, haunting thought. Why couldn't he have done something to prevent this? The memory sends Ian spiraling into a pit of regret. He believes he should have protected his mother more, or at least asked her to escape with him. Her last words, a tearful "I love you," now feel like a bitter accusation echoing. The weight of his self-blame is crushing. He remembers collapsing at her grave, convinced it was all his fault. Lost in despair, he had wandered aimlessly, eventually finding himself at the Hudson River, contemplating the calm water as a somber, final view. As Ian is consumed by his bleakest memories, a single tear escapes and traces a path down his cheek. He's jolted back to the present when he realizes Doan is right there, casually eating a sandwich. She turns and, seeing his solemn face, offers him her spare. Though he politely declines, she insists, saying he looks hungry and that she feels bad eating alone. With a small smile, she explains that it's her dad's delicious special recipe, a simple act of warmth that momentarily pierces through his overwhelming despair. Ian takes a bite of the sandwich and quietly admits it's really good. Trying to make small talk, he asks if her father joined her on this trip. Doan's expression doesn't change as she cheerfully explains that her father passed away when she was young. The unexpected news catches Ian completely off guard, and he immediately apologizes for his insensitive question. Doan brushes it off, telling him it's okay. Then, she turns the tables with a direct question of her own, asking him why he was crying earlier, leaving him speechless. Breaking the heavy silence, Ian observes that she must have gone through something similar to him. Doan looks up, offering a small, wise smile. She believes anyone can be unhappy, but they can also choose to be happy. She explains that her late father always said her happiness was all that mattered, and he wouldn't want her to be sad. With a newfound determination, she declares that after eating the sandwich, she will be happy from now on. She then turns to Ian, encouraging him to eat and be happy, too. Doan's simple wisdom, a lesson from her late father, leaves Ian utterly speechless. He reflects on how this remarkable woman had once vanished from his life, leaving him to search desperately with only the memory of a Korean woman in a cap and sunglasses. The scene shifts to the present, where the two are walking through a historical village in Seoul. Doan is surprised to learn he's been there before. Ian calmly explains that he visited once as a child with his mother, which makes Doan realize she mistakenly brought him somewhere familiar. Ian softly tells Doan she looks pretty, noting that her face has regained its liveliness. A flustered Doan tries to play it cool, joking that her beauty was always there, just a bit messy before. As they continue their walk, she spots something she wants to buy. She explains it's a tiger with a magpie from a popular animation. Confused, Ian asks if she means a traditional folk painting called a jakoto. When she enthusiastically confirms, he looks at her in disbelief, wondering why she'd want that, which makes Doan burst into embarrassed laughter. Just as Doan gets excited about buying the souvenir, Ian's phone suddenly rings. It's an urgent call from his office, and he apologetically informs her that he needs to leave right away. Without a second thought, Doan tells him she's fine and that he should go. Promising to see her again that same night, Ian departs in his car. Now on her own, Doan decides to follow through with her plan, making a beeline for the gift shop to find the cute tiger and magpie figure she wanted for him. Inside the gift shop, Doan finds the adorable tiger figure she wanted for Ian. She smiles, thinking how cute it would be to get a matching one for herself as a couple item. Her happy moment is cut short when a voice calls out her full name, Doan. Startled, she turns to find a stranger in a suit. He introduces himself as the personal assistant for her manipulative ex, Jinwuk. The man then delivers the unwelcome news. The director himself is nearby and waiting specifically for her. Doan finds herself sitting across from Jinwuk in a completely empty cafe. She asks if he rented the whole place, and he casually confirms, reminding her that she dislikes noisy spots. When a server brings out a fancy sandwich, Doan is bewildered, stating she thought they were just getting coffee. Jinwuk explains he ordered it because he remembered she liked sandwiches. The seemingly thoughtful act triggers a painful memory of a time she lovingly offered him a homemade sandwich, showing just how callously he's using their shared past against her. The memory of Jinwook's past cruelty is still fresh. He had once coldly rejected a sandwich she made, questioning why she liked messy food and telling her to be more like other women. After all that, this supposed thoughtful gesture is just another form of manipulation. Doan asks if his wife, Sirin, sent him to check on her. To her absolute shock, Jinwook apologizes. He claims he couldn't bear to see her humiliated and was even angrier than she was. This apology is so out of character that Doan is completely stunned, wondering what his true motive is. A lawyer interrupts, handing Jinwook a clipboard. Stunned, Doan reads the title, Prenuptial Agreement. Jinwook calmly explains it's the contract between him and Sirin. He points out that, according to the terms, their marriage is essentially a business arrangement that allows for separate personal lives. He then offers to divorce Sirin if Doan is still uneasy, confessing he never married for love. His whole perspective changed when he saw her happy with another man in Hawaii, making him realize he couldn't let her go. With a look of regret, Jinwuk tells Doan that it should have been him by her side. He confesses he was foolish and suddenly grabs her hand, begging for a fresh start. He insists she's the only one, promising that this time, he won't hold back on financial support. Doan's response is swift and silent. She calmly picks up her glass and throws the water directly in his face. As the drenched and stunned executive director stares in disbelief, she coolly states that her intentions have been fully conveyed. The conversation is over. With her final point made, Doan abruptly stands. Announcing she has another dinner appointment, she turns and walks away without a backward glance, leaving Jinwuk sitting alone and drenched. An assistant rushes over, asking if he's all right. Jinwuk ignores the fuss, wiping his face as he watches her retreating figure. His expression hardens with obsessive resolve. He vows that he can't let her go and will do whatever it takes to get her back. But for now, Doan has walked out of his life completely. Having left Jinwuk to soak in his own failure, Doan prepares for her real dinner appointment. A quick spritz of perfume and a confident look in the mirror are all she needs before heading out. In the taxi, her thoughts drift away from her toxic ex and land on Ian. She reflects on the difficult journey they've navigated to reach this point. Her mind flashes back to their fateful meeting in Hawaii, recalling how their connection was so immediate and powerful that they didn't need words to understand each other completely. As the taxi drives on, Doan's thoughts turn to Ian. She remembers the raw intensity of their connection in Hawaii, a bond so strong they didn't need words. But misunderstandings quickly created huge gaps between them, pushing them apart before they could sort out their feelings. Despite the hurdles, those challenging moments only made things clearer. It was through the chaos and the quiet intimacy that she had a powerful realization. She knew, without a single doubt, that she was in love with Ian. The car continues down the street, carrying her forward. The taxi pulls up to an elegant, traditional-style restaurant. A hostess greets Doan at the door, informing her that Mr. McKinley is waiting inside. Doan stops in her tracks, completely stunned. The dinner appointment she was heading to was with Ian all along. Inside, Ian watches her approach with a subtle, appreciative smile. He welcomes her, casually asking if she got caught in traffic. Still processing the shock, Doan slumps into her seat, unable to manage more than a quiet hum in response, leaving Ian to wonder about her dazed reaction. Ian can tell something is different about Doan and asks if anything happened. Flustered, she insists nothing is wrong, but her bright red face says otherwise. Concerned, Ian leans in closer to check on her, asking if she's feeling unwell as Doan flinches from the sudden closeness. Their intense moment is broken when a waitress arrives with an appetizer, nervously asking if she should return later. Ian smoothly reassures her it's fine. As the soup is served, Doan can only stare at the man who has completely captured her thoughts. Doan finally breaks the silence. She brings up her previous confession of liking him, only to state she's taking it back. Visibly confused, Ian asks her to explain. Doan clarifies it wasn't just a momentary feeling back in Hawaii. Looking him straight in the eyes, her expression soft but determined, she corrects herself. Her feelings weren't just in the past, they're true even now. With a steady voice, she confesses again, properly this time. She likes him. After her confession hangs in the air, Doan timidly asks for his response. For the first time, Ian seems genuinely flustered, a light blush creeping onto his cheeks. He tells her that with the honest expression she's making, no man on earth could possibly refuse. In fact, he admits that her straightforward charm is exactly what he likes. Completely taken aback by his smooth yet sincere reply, a stunned Doan can only ask if he's truly okay with accepting her feelings so easily. Ian leans forward with a calculating smile, stating that if they make things official, she won't be able to run away again. Doan stammers, her mind flashing back to all the times she tried to end their connection. Enjoying her flustered state, Ian playfully demands an apology for everything she put him through. Annoyed but cornered, Doan reluctantly stands and formally apologizes for pushing him away. Ian accepts with a triumphant smirk, clearly satisfied with her response and his little victory over her. Frustrated by the back and forth, Doan demands to know if they are officially dating. Ian calmly confirms they are, formally welcoming her. However, Doan immediately sets a surprising condition. They can't get too serious for 6 months. A baffled Ian questions this strange rule. Instead of arguing, he flips the script, stating he's the one giving her a chance. He clarifies these 6 months aren't a trial period for him, but her final opportunity to run away. After that, he implies, there will be no escape. Following an intensely passionate night, the air between Ian and Do-eun has completely changed. Do-eun is the first to break the quiet, making a simple, direct confession. She likes him. However, this admission comes with a warning. She explains that her feelings might make her clingy and annoying and proposes a surprising condition, a 6-month trial period. Ian calmly questions the strange time frame. Do-eun clarifies it's a test for him to figure out if his feelings are a passing crush or something real, a shield to protect them both from getting hurt. Ian smirks, seeing right through her proposal. He understands that she wants him but is simply too scared to risk it all. To Do-eun's absolute shock, he agrees to her terms, saying they'll do it her way for 6 months. A flustered Do-eun questions why a sharp businessman like him would accept a potentially losing deal. But Ian's confidence never wavers. He calmly declares that she is now all his. Their new arrangement quickly becomes intensely personal, with Ian making it clear their reasonably serious connection has just begun. In the car, Liam Jackson details Ian's schedule, emphasizing a critical dinner meeting about the Juhyang apartment redevelopment. This prime real estate deal is a huge opportunity, and Liam knows it will attract fierce competition, especially from Lee Jinwook's company. He questions why Ian would involve himself in a project outside their usual business. Ian cryptically remarks that he's tired of people touching his things. He then reveals his true intention is to dangle this project as irresistible bait, setting a trap that Jinwook can't possibly escape. Ian confidently states that Jinwook will fall right into the trap, one he can never escape. A worried Liam asks if they really need to go so far just for Jinwook. Ian calls him out, reminding Liam that he's fully aware Jinwook has been lingering around Do-eun. Surprised, Liam asks how Ian knew this, as it was never in any official report. Ian coolly explains he already assigned people to watch Jinwook. He had a feeling, and if he doesn't step in now, Jinwook will just keep causing trouble. With his trap for Jinwook set, Ian gives Liam his next set of commands. He instructs his assistant to send out invitations for the Kim's 50th anniversary event, with a black tie dress code. He specifically demands that Jinwook and his partner be on the guest list, stating with absolute certainty that this is the perfect opportunity for everyone to see exactly whose woman Do-eun is. Later that evening, Ian and Do-eun's relationship moves to a new, much more intimate level, solidifying the powerful and undeniable connection between them. After their relationship deepens, Ian asks Do-eun to be his official partner at the upcoming Kim's 50th anniversary party. Startled by the request, she questions what he means. He calmly explains that since many important people will be attending, he wants her by his side. Suddenly, Do-eun recalls a painful memory of public humiliation at a similar high society event. She realizes this means her tormentors will also be there. Sensing her immediate distress, Ian gently reassures her that she can refuse if it's too much for her to handle. Do-eun voices her fears about the anniversary party, admitting she's scared of being judged. Ian calmly reassures her, promising to be her shield and protect her from any criticism. His sincerity is enough to convince her, and she agrees to put her trust in him. On the day of the reception, Ian waits patiently in a sharp tuxedo. The soft sound of footsteps announces Do-eun's arrival. When he looks up, his composed expression breaks. He is completely captivated by her stunning appearance, a visible blush showing his surprise and admiration. Ian is left speechless by Do-eun's appearance, his cheeks flushing as he tells her she looks gorgeous. She returns the compliment, and Ian confidently replies that he has to be the man who suits her. They soon arrive at the massive Kim's building for the 50th anniversary reception. As they enter the grand hall buzzing with Seoul's elite, Do-eun is completely taken aback. Overwhelmed by the scale and opulence of the event, she can only stare in amazement, realizing the significance of the world she's just stepped into. As Do-eun takes in the sheer scale of the Kim's anniversary party, a well-dressed man approaches them. He correctly identifies her as Ian's partner before introducing himself as Liam Buckley, Ian's longtime friend and business associate. Do-eun greets him formally, but Liam insists she use his first name. Suddenly, Ian's grip on her waist tightens possessively. With a cool expression, he looks at his friend and questions if being so informal is really okay, making his claim on Do-eun perfectly clear. While Ian is briefly pulled away to speak with other guests, Liam takes the opportunity to chat with Do-eun. He explains that Ian has been incredibly popular since he was young, especially now that he's the sole heir to the massive Kim's group. Liam warns her that dealing with his many competitors can be tough. Do-eun politely responds that she'll keep his advice in mind, though she senses a strange undertone to their conversation. Nearby, Ian watches them talk, his expression turning sharp and possessive as he glares at his old friend. Ian rejoins the conversation, his gaze fixed on Liam. With a cool tone, he asks if his friend and Doan have already become close. Doan smoothly replies that they simply talked like old friends, then cleverly asks Liam about his own partner. Liam looks away, casually mentioning that his date loves making a dramatic entrance. Right on cue, a blonde woman appears, waving and calling Ian's name with a bright smile. It's Samantha. Ian's face hardens instantly, while Doan watches the scene unfold with a growing sense of unease. Doan freezes. She can't believe she's seeing Samantha, the woman from Hawaii, right here in Korea. Internally, she fumes at Samantha's nerve, showing up at Ian's party. Deciding she won't be the same powerless person Samantha met before, Doan stands her ground. Unfazed, Samantha questions how Doan is even at the event. In a bold move, Doan leans against Ian's arm. With a confident smile, she formally introduces herself as Ian's official partner, Doan, making her position perfectly clear. Samantha completely loses her cool, causing a scene by loudly questioning why someone like Doan is at the Kim's group reception. Her outburst draws stares from shocked guests. Liam immediately tries to intervene, telling his sister to think about her dignity, but she only grows angrier that he isn't taking her side. An event staff member quickly steps in, politely escorting the fuming Samantha away. Doan calmly reminds Ian they shouldn't inconvenience their VIPs. With the audience gone, Ian realizes it's finally his chance to speak freely. Liam orders his sister to stop, reminding her this is a formal Kim's group event. Unfazed, Samantha scoffs and steps aggressively toward Doan, insisting she's mistaken. She then boasts about her family's deep business ties to Kim's before belittling Doan, accusing her of using her appeal to win Ian over. Getting in Doan's face, she pokes her chest, declaring a commoner could never become Lady McKinley. Doan, trying to remain dignified for Ian's sake, decides she can't let this insult slide. As Samantha sneers that Doan's origins will never change, Doan decides she has had enough, warning Samantha that she brought this on herself. Taking control of the situation, Doan firmly grasps Ian's face, pulling him into a bold and deliberate kiss. While a stunned Ian quickly realizes her plan, Samantha can only watch in sputtering rage, completely outmaneuvered. Doan has just found the perfect, undeniable way to silence her rival and publicly stake her claim on the man she loves. As Doan pulls away, Samantha is left completely shell-shocked. With a slight smirk, Ian calmly takes control, telling Samantha he will now formally introduce her to the woman he's with. Wrapping a firm arm around Doan's waist, he announces her name is Doan, the woman he is seeing very seriously. To crush any remaining hope, he declares she is the only one who might ever become Lady McKinley. Samantha stammers that he's lying, but Ian coldly dismisses her, stating there is no room for her here. Seething with rage, Samantha slams her fist down, vowing never to accept this. Her brother, Liam, urgently tries to calm her, reminding her that the VIPs are back and all eyes are on them. Ignoring him, she repeats her refusal. Liam coolly asks what she plans to do, telling her to just give it up since Ian and Doan are already deeply involved. Tears fill Samantha's eyes as Liam delivers the final blow. Ian is completely obsessed with Doan, so she'd better not do anything foolish. The reality of her defeat leaves her shattered. Refusing to listen, Samantha pulls her hand away and storms off from the party. She rationalizes the situation, telling herself that Ian simply isn't in his right mind. Believing it's her duty to save him from Doan's influence, she vows to restore him to his senses. The question is, how? As she racks her brain, an idea flashes in her eyes. A devious smile forms as she pulls out her phone, her mind now set on a new plan to get what she wants, no matter the cost. As Samantha plots her next move, her phone buzzes with an unexpected call. It's from Ian's father, Logan McKinley, presenting her with a very powerful new connection. Meanwhile, Ian surprises Doan by taking her to a luxurious office on the top floor of a skyscraper. She is stunned by the breathtaking panoramic view of the city at night. Ian proudly asks for her opinion, reminding her she once said she wanted this. Looking at him with a gentle smile, Doan admits she absolutely loves it, and she isn't just talking about the view. Doan excitedly tells Ian she wanted to feel victory with her whole body in such an open space. A confused Ian asks what she's talking about. She explains she has finally dealt with Samantha, confident that after seeing her stunned expression, the woman won't bother them again. Amused, Ian plays with her hair and mysteriously tells her she'll see. He then leans in and pulls her close. In one smooth motion, He presses her against the panoramic window, leading to a much more intimate moment high above the city. As Ian holds her close, Doan looks up with a daring expression. She boldly asks if the luxurious new office is soundproof. A smirk plays on Ian's lips. He's clearly enjoying her confidence. He firmly takes her hand, his eyes gleaming with amusement as he challenges her to find out for herself. High above the city in the Kim's Tower, their private moment is far from over, and their connection is about to reach a whole new level. Sometime later, the elevator doors slide open, and Ian and Doan step out, looking slightly disheveled but satisfied. Doan, with a noticeable blush, quickly suggests they should return to the banquet hall to avoid drawing any attention. Ian, trying to suppress a victorious smirk, readily agrees. After their intense private meeting high above the city, rejoining the party would prove to be a challenge. The couple makes their way back to the main event, the energy between them completely transformed, leaving their passionate encounter behind closed doors. Returning to the banquet, their private moment is cut short when Doan is spotted by Madame Young, an important VIP from her Diem Gallery days. The woman approaches, curious about Doan's life after the last exhibition. Her eyes then land on the man beside her, and she gasps in recognition. With his hand firmly on Doan's shoulder, Ian smoothly introduces himself. Madame Young is floored, immediately putting the pieces together. She excitedly asks if Doan is set to marry into the powerful Kim's family, leaving her stunned by the very public question. Flustered by the public question, Doan tries to insist they aren't at that stage yet. But before she can finish, Ian cuts her off. He places a firm, possessive hand on her shoulder and declares to Madame Young that Doan is his love and the woman who will become his wife. Completely taken aback by his bold move, a blushing Doan can only manage a quiet agreement. From a distance, her friends watch their plan unfold perfectly, knowing the city's biggest gossip will handle the rest. Ian charms the gossiping Madame Young, explaining he fell for Doan at first sight and pursued her all the way to Seoul. Thrilled by the romantic tale, the woman offers her congratulations. Once she leaves, a blushing Doan whispers to Ian that he's a very good liar. He looks at her sincerely, insisting every word was true. Needing a moment to collect herself, Doan excuses herself to the powder room. Her escape is cut short, however, when she comes face to face with a furious Samantha, who has clearly been waiting for her. Samantha corners Doan in the powder room, sarcastically asking if she feels like she's won. She warns Doan to enjoy the moment, claiming Ian's stay in Seoul is only temporary. Unfazed, Doan calmly thanks her for the advice. Annoyed by her composure, Samantha snaps, calling her a mere substitute and sneering that Ian's taste for the Asian woman giving sandwiches clearly hasn't changed. Doan freezes, completely shocked by the specific mention of sandwiches from her time in Hawaii. Samantha sneers, asking if Doan knew the real reason Ian was in Seoul. She claims he's not there for her, but is searching for traces of his first love. The accusation triggers Doan's memory of Ian's specific words in Hawaii about his weakness for the woman who gives him sandwiches. Samantha presses her advantage, revealing this mystery woman is also Korean and asking if Doan truly believes she can compete. Doan calmly confirms Samantha's theory that she's just a substitute. Annoyed, Samantha delivers the final blow, stating this woman was Ian's savior 10 years ago. Samantha's accusation about 10 years ago triggers a vague memory for Doan, but she remains composed. Dismissing the claim that she's just a temporary distraction, Doan coolly asks what difference it makes. Samantha is stunned by her nonchalant attitude. Doan clarifies that regardless of who Ian might be looking for from his past, he is her man now. Completely enraged, Samantha lunges forward and violently grabs Doan's arm. She screams that Doan shouldn't get the wrong idea, insisting she's nothing more than a plaything. Samantha's accusations about a first love echo in Doan's mind. She's left alone, trying to piece together the identity of this mysterious woman who is supposedly Ian's savior. Elsewhere, Ian stands at a formal reception, his attention fixed on the crowd. His assistant, Liam, reports that Jinwuk and his wife are absent due to a family emergency. The news barely registers with Ian. He relentlessly searches the room for only one person, his determination crystal clear. Just as Ian continues his intense search of the room, Liam approaches with grim news. Logan McKinley is here. A moment later, the door swings open and a formidable-looking man steps inside. He casually asks how Ian has been, as if dropping in for friendly chat. Ian's expression turns to ice. With chilling formality, he addresses the man simply as father. Logan McKinley, Ian's powerful and disapproving father, meets his son's gaze with a knowing smirk, clearly here to cause problems. Cutting through the fake pleasantries, Ian directly asks his father why he's in Korea. Logan smirks, revealing that Samantha told him everything. He condescendingly notes that Ian has apparently fallen for a woman who doesn't suit their status. With a dismissive air, Logan gives his son some cynical advice. Have fun with her, but don't let her get in the way. Just play around and then move on. A chilling smile forms on Ian's face as he coolly suggests that must be how his father has always treated women. Ian continues his cold takedown, accusing his father of treating his mother with the same casual cruelty. Logan grabs his son's arm, trying to force his perspective. He tells Ian not to be shaken by a woman and proposes they join forces to solidify the McKinley family legacy. Ian forcefully pulls his arm away. He flatly rejects the offer, declaring he will never team up with him and warning him never to speak that way again. In a stunning power play, Ian makes it clear that Logan is only tolerated because he, the heir to Kim's group, allows it. Logan tries to assert control, threatening to cut his son's funding for supposedly losing his mind over a woman. But Ian remains perfectly calm. He reminds his father of a lesson Logan himself taught him: find an opponent's weakness and strike. With a chilling warning about how shameful it would be for someone to be humiliated, Ian turns to leave. As he walks away, Logan desperately calls out his name, mentioning that the memorial for his late mother, Sarah, is coming soon. Ian stops in his tracks, his cold expression faltering. The mention of his mother stops Ian cold. He turns and declares he will attend the memorial this year. Later, drinking alone, Ian is overwhelmed by the encounter. He seethes, thinking how his father hasn't attended the service once in 10 years, yet now has the nerve to bring her up. Elsewhere, Doan finds herself crying, finally admitting she loves Ian. The immense emotional stress becomes physical for Ian, who clutches his chest and gasps in pain, profoundly affected by the memories his father dragged up. Suddenly, Ian gasps for air, his face contorted in pain as he clutches his chest. A worried Doan rushes to his side, asking what's wrong. Seeing his immense distress, she gently holds his tear-streaked face, telling him to look at her and that she's right there with him. Later, after he's calmed down, Ian apologizes for scaring her. He then reveals the cause of his breakdown: his mother's memorial is approaching. This news causes Doan to recall something Samantha once said about Ian's painful past. Ian gently tells Doan she can lean on him if things get too hard. He then opens up about his painful past, revealing his mother suffered from severe depression. While his father was constantly having affairs, a young Ian threw himself into his work, enjoying the thrill of building his own business. He was away from home often, and in his absence, his mother's condition grew worse. Overwhelmed by her circumstances, she made a tragic choice. A tear streams down Ian's face as he confesses his overwhelming guilt, believing it was his fault. Overwhelmed by his confession, Doan insists he's not to blame. She has never seen the unshakable Ian so completely vulnerable. Consumed by regret, Ian trembles with the weight of his guilt. Seeing his pain, Doan moves behind him and wraps her arms around his shoulders. She softly repeats that it wasn't his fault. Leaning into her comforting embrace, he slowly calms down. After a moment of silence, she gently asks if he's feeling better, and he tenderly places his hand over hers. Feeling a profound sense of relief, Ian quietly thanks Doan. He gently lifts her hand to his lips in a gesture of deep gratitude. Seeing his vulnerability, Doan decides to share a painful memory of her own. She confesses that for years, she blamed herself for her father's death, convinced he might have lived if she hadn't been with him. It was her mother who finally eased her guilt, insisting it wasn't her fault. She looks at Ian, passing on her mother's wisdom. Sad things happen, but the important thing is not to carry the pain alone. Ian recalls his grandfather's words at the funeral, a time he felt utterly alone. Doan's gentle touch brings him back to the present. She offers to share his pain, asking if he would let her carry the burden with him. Visibly moved, Ian gives a small, grateful smile and quietly says thank you. He then pulls her into a deep, meaningful kiss, accepting her support. Later that night, as Doan gets up to leave the room, Ian watches her go, a silent understanding now settled between them after revealing their deepest wounds. Doan watches Ian, confused by a sudden change in demeanor. She can only wonder if a painful memory of a first love has resurfaced. Elsewhere, Ian stands alone on his balcony, his hand clenching into a tight fist as a powerful realization hits him. A memory from 10 years ago floods his mind. The kind woman who gave him a sandwich, a person he never forgot, was Doan all along. Looking up at the moon, Ian knows with absolute certainty that his long search is finally over. He has found her. Ian calls Doan, asking what she's doing. She explains her lunch plans with Mayan fell through at the last minute, leaving her to eat alone at a mall cafe. When Ian asks what she's having, her simple answer makes him freeze: a toasted sandwich. For Ian, this is another huge sign. Hearing her wistfully say they've been too busy to see each other, he feels a pang of guilt and insists they meet up early that day. Doan happily agrees, and they end their call. While waiting for Ian, Doan takes a bite of her toasted sandwich. Her thoughts drift to the woman from his past, his unforgettable first love. An intense wave of jealousy hits her. Even though she dated Jinwuk, this feels different. The idea of someone having such a strong hold on Ian's memory makes her feel incredibly insecure. To shake off the gloom before their meeting, she decides a little retail therapy is in order and heads off to a nearby boutique to refresh her mood with a new outfit. As Doan browses a boutique, her attempt at retail therapy is cut short by a nasty surprise. Across the room, her tormentor, Choi Sirin, spots her. Sirin is livid, unable to understand why Doan looks so put together instead of being the broken mess she'd hoped for. With a condescending smirk, she approaches Doan, flanked by Jinwuk. Sirin mocks her for shopping so casually despite being unemployed. Doan's good mood instantly evaporates, face to face with the last person she ever wanted to see. Sirin's taunts trigger a painful memory of a past humiliation Doan can never forget. She tries to shut Sirin down, stating she has nothing to say. In a flash of rage, Sirin strikes Doan hard across the face. The sudden sting leaves a red mark on Doan's cheek. But instead of breaking down, Doan's gaze turns cold and resolute. She warns Sirin that she has her all wrong, promising that from now on, her actions will speak far louder than any words. The sting of the slap sends Doan spiraling into a painful memory. She's a student again, being pushed and belittled by a bully who mocks her as powerless, the humiliation feeling sharp and real. But when she snaps back to the present, something inside her has changed. Her gaze turns cold and unyielding. She informs Sirin that she has her completely wrong. Declaring that she prefers to let actions do the talking, Doan turns her back and walks away with unshakable purpose, leaving her tormentors speechless. Stunned, Sirin reels back, unable to believe Doan just struck her. But Doan remains completely composed, coolly asking her rival how it feels to be on the receiving end. The calm question sends Sirin into a frenzy. She lunges forward, screaming threats, only to be restrained by an assistant who begs her to stop. Unfazed, Doan points out the numerous cameras, reminding Sirin that her powerful in-laws would not approve of such a public spectacle. Sirin freezes, realizing she's been perfectly cornered. With newfound resolve, Doan walks away, telling herself she must endure this frustration for her mother's sake. However, Sirin refuses to let her have the last word. She screams after Doan, vowing that her pride is over and her career is finished for good. The vicious threat hangs in the air, clearly hitting its mark. Later, Doan sits alone on a plaza bench, looking completely drained. She touches her cheek, realizing the public humiliation and Sirin's promise to blacklist her hurt far more than the initial confrontation. Sirin's vicious threat to end her career replays in Doan's head. She had only started job hunting due to financial anxiety, cutting her planned 6-month break short. Now, she recalls a recent interview where an employer praised her talent but had to turn her down, cryptically warning that eyes were always watching. The memory confirms her fear. Sirin is already blacklisting her. Sinking into despair, she questions if she can ever work again. Just then, a voice startles her. Ian appears, casually remarking that he thought she was still enjoying her shopping. Stunned, Doan asks Ian how he could possibly be here. He calmly replies that he simply wanted to see her. His relaxed demeanor shatters, however, when he notices the angry red mark on her cheek. Reaching out, he gently touches her face, his voice growing serious as he asks what happened. Mortified, Doan tries to dismiss it, claiming she already handled the situation. But Ian's gaze hardens as he presses for the identity of the person responsible. He falls silent, understanding from her expression that she wants him to drop it. Respecting her silent plea, Ian agrees to her wish. Soon, they are speeding down the highway, the city lights blurring past them. Doan marvels at how refreshing it feels, a freedom she hasn't experienced in a long time. When Ian asks if she feels better, she gives him a genuine smile, confirming she does. Concerned, She asks if it's okay to take up his time. He tells her there's no one else he would rather be with. Then, he drops a bombshell, calmly stating that he has a proposal, leaving Do-eun stunned. Ian clarifies that his proposal is a job offer. Would she like to work with the Kim's Cultural Foundation? He assures her it's a good, low-pressure experience. Do-eun is deeply touched by his thoughtful and sweet gesture, realizing he genuinely cares about her well-being. However, after thanking him, she reveals she has a different goal now. With newfound determination, she explains that she has saved money from her previous work. Her dream is to open a gallery under her own name. Ian is visibly stunned, clearly not expecting this ambitious declaration. With newfound resolve, Do-eun shares her ultimate dream, opening her own gallery. Though it won't be easy, she wants to build it herself, piece by piece. Ian's face softens with admiration as he raises his glass, making a toast to her new beginning. Later, Do-eun reflects that Sirin's cruelty was the unexpected push she needed. Meanwhile, Liam reports his findings to Ian. He confirms Sirin was at the department store during the incident with Do-eun, but there's a problem. The security footage has already been wiped clean, leaving them with no proof. With Sirin's involvement confirmed, Ian sets a new plan in motion. Ignoring Liam's advice to let the matter go, he calmly asks for a stock report on Grand Holdings. Liam confirms their 5% stake, but Ian isn't satisfied. He issues a new command: secure over 8%. A shocked Liam asks if they're planning a corporate takeover, but Ian's real goal is far more personal. He reveals his plan to sell the shares back to Jinwuk at an extremely high price. Elsewhere, Jinwuk slams his fist on his desk, enraged by the sudden financial attack. Ian's retaliation is swift and public. Suddenly, negative articles about the Grand family flood the news, sending Jinwuk's office into a panic. A flustered employee bursts in, shoving a tablet into his hands. A viral video shows Sirin in a full-blown rage, screaming threats at a staff member. The humiliating clip, mockingly titled "Abuse Legend," is spreading like wildfire online. Jinwuk can only stare in disbelief, watching his wife's meltdown become a public spectacle, courtesy of a man he severely underestimated. Riding in his car, a furious Jinwuk barks orders into his phone. He demands his team take down the viral video of Sirin within the hour, leaving no trace of the embarrassing incident. After hanging up, he reads the online comments. People mock his wife and company, but some praise the beautiful woman who stood up for herself. The public spectacle and Sirin's reckless behavior make him pause. His thoughts drift unexpectedly. A quiet memory of Do-eun comes to mind, a stark contrast to his current chaotic reality. As the chaos with Sirin spins out of control, Jinwuk's mind retreats to a quieter past. He recalls the proud day Do-eun finally opened her own small gallery, Dankum. They celebrated her dream with a toast, and he had asked her about the unique name. With a thoughtful smile, Do-eun explained that it was inspired by a photographer she deeply admired, someone named Enyo. The name had caught Jinwuk by surprise then, a small, forgotten detail that now feels strangely significant. The memory hits Jinwuk with unexpected clarity. He's back on the couch with Do-eun, celebrating her gallery. He'd asked about its unique name, Dankum. Flustered, she explained it wasn't a nickname but was inspired by her favorite photographer, Enyo. She recounted seeing Enyo's piece, Starry Night, and feeling so overwhelmed that she wanted her gallery to be a sweet dream for others. Jinwuk had chuckled, telling her she always surprised him. Now, that forgotten name, Enyo, suddenly feels incredibly important. The memory deepens for Jinwuk, pulling him back to that celebratory evening. He'd asked about her first exhibition, and Do-eun had excitedly declared her plan to feature the photographer, Enyo. Despite the odds of securing such a famous artist without her old gallery's backing, she was brimming with optimism. He found her confidence charming, asking how she could be so certain of success. Smiling, she simply said she had a good feeling. He then surprised her, fastening a brilliant diamond necklace around her neck and asking if he liked his gift. Ian surprises Do-eun, carefully fastening a brilliant necklace around her neck. He calls it a gift of captured starlight, congratulating her on this new chapter in her life. Visibly moved, Do-eun can only whisper his name before he pulls her into a deep, meaningful kiss, sealing the moment. The scene then shifts, finding them in a far more intimate setting. As they relax together, Ian looks at her in awe, admiring her new jewelry. Do-eun shyly admits that it's very pretty, her cheeks flushing under his gaze. At a tense business meeting, CEO Choi Sirin is confronted by Diane Lucas, the representative for the legendary photographer, Enyo. Diane apologizes, explaining that Enyo was once positive about an exhibition with Diam Gallery, but the situation has changed. Sirin desperately argues that her new gallery, Grand, is simply Diam under a new name. However, Diane delivers a crushing blow, clarifying that their trust was built specifically with director Eun Doan. With Doan gone, there's no point in continuing the partnership. Sirin is left shocked and furious, unable to comprehend Doan's lingering influence. Diane Lucas stood firm, informing a stunned Choi Sirin that the artist had already expressed their refusal. She coolly added that Enyo didn't care about exhibition size. After 30 minutes, Diane announced the meeting was over, but Sirin couldn't let it go. The reality was crushing. Since Doan left, VIP clients had vanished and the gallery's reputation was plummeting due to poor planning. In a last-ditch effort, a desperate Sirin asked which gallery Enyo was considering, promising she would meet them at the highest level, no matter the cost. With her authority crumbling, Sirin tries to pull rank, asking Diane if a CEO should have to personally handle this. Her arrogance quickly fades into desperation, and she pleads for just one chance. Suddenly, a new voice calls out to Diane. Sirin's head whips around in disbelief. She knows that voice. A moment later, Eun Doan appears, looking more confident than ever. She calmly introduces herself as a representative from a new gallery, Dankum. Sirin is left completely speechless, watching the woman she destroyed return as a powerful rival. Diane greets her warmly, and the two women quickly find common ground. Watching them, Sirin's shock turns to rage. She can't understand how this is happening. She had personally ensured Doan was blacklisted from every gallery in the country. Losing all professional composure, Sirin shouts accusations, claiming she fired Doan for being incompetent. As Sirin makes a scene, Doan calmly responds. She expresses her disappointment that the CEO believes in baseless rumors, her poise making Sirin's outburst look even more pathetic. Diane shuts Sirin down, stating she doesn't believe such vulgar rumors about Doan. She then ends the meeting, telling the humiliated CEO to leave. In a last-ditch effort, Sirin grabs Doan and belittles her new venture, claiming that showing work at a small-time gallery would be an insult to the artist. Doan calmly agrees that her gallery is new and small. Then she delivers the final blow. The artist's work won't be at her gallery, but at the exclusive JK department store. Sirin's face drains of color, realizing she's been completely outplayed. Furious after her public defeat, Sirin makes a frantic call to director Kong, the gallery's former head. She accuses Kong of betraying her by siding with Doan. Unfazed, director Kong dismantles Sirin's tantrum with cold professionalism. She states that while she accepted the gallery changing hands, she refuses to tolerate baseless allegations that dishonor her life's work. Kong calmly advises Sirin to grow up and end her childish power games, leaving the new CEO stunned and silenced by the sharp rebuke from her predecessor. Having definitively ended the call, director Kong left Sirin to scream in helpless fury in the back of her car. Elsewhere, Doan met with her new partner, who dryly noted that foolish people are impossible to deal with. Doan expressed her gratitude for the opportunity, but her partner brushed it off, calling their venture a win-win. She then announced their first major project, an exclusive exhibition for the legendary photographer, Enyo. As Doan realized she was finally a proper gallery director, her partner wished her well for their upcoming show. With their partnership solidified, Doan thanks director Kong for the incredible opportunity. She officially signs the contract, securing the exclusive exhibition for the legendary photographer, Enyo. The show is scheduled for the fall season, set to run for a month and a half. Standing proudly in Dankium's very first exhibition space, Doan feels a profound sense of purpose. She is determined to pour everything she has into this project, not just for herself, but for Enyo, Diane, and director Kong who put their faith in her. Her long fight is finally over. Working late into the night, Doan finalizes the press materials for the Enyo exhibition. She glances at the clock. It's 1:30 a.m. Lost in thought, she wonders if Ian will be late again, realizing she's been too busy to see him properly. Missing him, she daydreams about being in his arms and accidentally drifts off to sleep. She's startled awake to find Ian standing right there. He smiles, telling her he just arrived and that she should sleep in her bed. Flustered, Doan admits she must have dozed off. Doan asks Ian if he's tired. He admits he's been a bit busy, loosening his tie as he speaks. She notices how exhausted he looks, with his usually perfect hair disheveled. It still shocks her that this incredible man is interested in her. As Ian unbuttons his shirt, Doan gets visibly flustered. She confesses that with her new project, it feels like they haven't properly seen each other in ages. In response, he gently cups her face, his gaze locking with hers. He leans in, making it clear their reunion is just getting started. Just as Ian leans in, a flustered Doan tries to stop him, insisting she hasn't even washed up after working all night. Unfazed, Ian simply smirks. He admits he likes her just as she is, but if she's set on washing up, he has a better idea. Calmly and deliberately, he suggests they do it together. Doan is stunned by his bold proposition. The scene quickly shifts, showing them sharing a deeply intimate moment under the running water, finally closing the distance that had grown between them. Later, Doan wakes to find Ian already up and reading beside her. As massive promotions for Enyo's first ever exhibition in Asia lit up the city, Doan got a call that stopped her in her tracks. The person on the line had incredible news. The notoriously private photographer had agreed to a written interview. Doan was thrilled, but the surprises weren't over. The caller then revealed that Enyo was permitting his masterpiece, C, to be displayed at the soft opening. Doan was left completely speechless. The one piece she thought was impossible to get was now hers to exhibit, marking a monumental victory for the gallery. Overjoyed by her massive win, Doan celebrates on her bed, barely able to believe her luck. After facing so many setbacks, everything for the exhibition, the contracts, the interview, and even Enyo's unreleased masterpiece has fallen perfectly into place. But her happiness gives way to suspicion. It all seems too easy. Could this really be just goodwill? Her train of thought is interrupted by Ian, who asks what she's pondering so deeply. He then casually reveals that the dress for the soft opening event has arrived, suggesting she should go try it on. Doan tries on the elegant black dress, stunned by her reflection. Flustered, she thinks it's all too much for her, but Ian simply smiles. He questions what's so extravagant about it as he steps forward, holding a dazzling diamond necklace. He fastens it around her neck, telling her she's no longer just the director of Diam. From now on, he declares, she is the CEO of Denkum and an equal co-host for the event. Staring at their reflection, Doan admits her old habits are scary, finally accepting her powerful new role. On the day of the grand opening, Ian senses Doan's anxiety and asks if she is nervous. He steps behind her, wrapping his arms around her in a steadying embrace. He reassures her that she can do this, offering the support she needs. Bolstered by his confidence, Doan agrees, ready to face the challenge ahead. They stand together, a united front, as the event at the JK Luxury Hall is about to begin. Meanwhile, Choi Sirin seethes with rage, crumpling the invitation sent to her, furious at the audacity of the gesture. At the grand opening, Sirin arrives with Jinwuk, her rage barely contained. She demands to know why he isn't furious, reminding him that she was the one who was publicly humiliated. Jinwuk, completely dismissive, tells her to keep it down, pointing out she wasn't exactly innocent in the matter. His cold response infuriates her. Forcing a smile, Sirin grabs his arm tightly, determined to watch Doan's downfall. She reminds him that her family saved his, making it clear she's the one pulling the strings in their twisted relationship. Sirin tightens her grip on Jinwook's arm, reminding him of her family's power over his. But her victory is cut short when she spots Doan across the hall. Doan looks radiant, wearing accessories that cost as much as a luxury car. Consumed by jealousy, Sirin immediately confronts her rival. She loudly accuses Doan of renting the expensive dress and necklace, determined to humiliate her in front of everyone. Behind her, Jinwook is frozen, stunned by both Doan's incredible appearance and his wife's vicious attack. Sirin sneers, loudly wondering which boutique would bother dressing a mere employee from a backwater gallery. Her public shaming is cut short when another director approaches them. With a calm smile, the woman informs Sirin there's been a misunderstanding. She then reveals the truth, sending Sirin reeling. The woman she just insulted is CEO Eun Doan of Denkum Gallery, her official collaborator. Sirin is left completely speechless, unable to process the fact that her rival isn't just surviving, she's a CEO. The director finishes her shocking announcement. Eun Doan is the host of this entire exhibition. Just as Sirin processes this, a man with a commanding presence approaches Doan directly, telling her he's been searching for her. Sirin's face drains of color as she recognizes him. The man Doan was seeing wasn't a nobody. He was the incredibly handsome and influential Ian McKinley. He stands beside a smiling Doan, looking every bit the power couple, as Sirin's carefully constructed world crumbles around her. Her rival hasn't just won, she's soared to unimaginable heights. Sirin's composure completely shatters. She tries to rush toward Doan, but Jinwuk grabs her arm, desperately whispering that everyone is watching them. Blinded by fury and public humiliation, Sirin can only glare as Doan and Ian stand together, an untouchable picture of power and success. As the commotion dies down, the exhibition's director takes the stage. She begins to introduce the main event, a special painting with a deep meaning. When she announces the artist's name, Chongyam, another wave of shock ripples through the gallery as the piece is unveiled. As the special painting is unveiled, a wave of shock hits the audience. Sirin and Jinwuk look horrified as the piece is announced, Radiant Sunlight by Laland Hemsik. Guests begin to murmur, recognizing the masterpiece as a prized item from Choi Sirin's personal collection. Confused, Doan turns to Ian, wondering how this is possible. Ian just smiles coolly, turning the screw by asking if she's curious which painting is the real one. His words hang in the air, implying Sirin's prestigious artwork is a fake, as the crowd erupts. Guests murmur amongst themselves, with one woman exclaiming that the painting is from Sirin's collection. The exhibition director takes the stage, calmly clarifying that this is the artwork's first ever reveal in Korea. With a cool smile, she suggests that if anyone has seen it before, it was probably a fake. Furious, Sirin screams, accusing the director of calling her collection a forgery. Unfazed, the woman offers to show the certificate of authenticity. She then twists the knife, questioning Sirin's trustworthiness and reminding the crowd of her shady history with the gallery. The crowd's whispers turn nasty, dredging up ugly rumors about Doan using unprofessional methods to succeed. As she falters, Ian places a firm hand on her shoulder, quietly reassuring her to hold her head high. Capitalizing on the chaos, the exhibition director publicly challenges Sirin, demanding she take responsibility for her slanderous claims of improper dealings. Caught in her own trap, a flustered Sirin immediately backpedals, stammering that she never accused Diam directly. The guests murmur, realizing their new CEO's accusations were completely baseless. As the guests whisper in confusion, the director smirks, savoring her victory. She thinks that Choi Sirin has finally admitted her own lies. But the drama isn't over. Sirin's husband, Lee Jinwuk, steps forward, fuming that he's been dragged into this public mess. Introducing himself as a director of the Grand Hotel, Jinwuk declares that he can't stay silent when his wife is involved. He steers the conversation back to the forgery, boldly claiming they also possess a certificate of authenticity and questioning if the director's piece is the real one. Jinwuk confidently asks the director if she can prove the painting's history, noting that if the piece was from her famous private collection, it would have been in the news. The director falters, admitting the artwork isn't hers. A triumphant smirk spreads across Jinwuk's face. He argues that this makes the painting unreliable, as it belongs to an unknown collector with an untrustworthy appraisal. He states it is deeply unpleasant to see his wife shamed over it. Sirin, basking in his defense, eagerly agrees that an artwork with an unclear origin is worthless. Just as Jinwuk corners the director, her expression shifts from worry to confusion. A calm voice cuts through the murmurs, confidently stating that the artwork's history can indeed be proven. It's Ian, announcing he is the collector of the piece. Before anyone can react, he formally introduces himself as Ian Kim McKinley of the powerful Kim's group. He explains Radiant Sunlight was a gift from his grandfather, Chairman Kim, who acquired it at a famous New York auction. With that, he declares that the Kim's group guarantees its authenticity. The crowd immediately begins to whisper. With the Kim's group backing the painting from a famous New York auction, its authenticity is guaranteed. Jinwook's face drains of color as he stammers, asking if this means their artwork is the fake. Capitalizing on the shift, the director presents the official appraisal report. She confidently asks Sirin if she can identify the world-famous signatures on the document. Sirin flinches, caught completely off guard. She tries to save face, dismissing the signatures and insisting that as long as an artwork is expensive, nothing else matters. The gallery director puts Sirin on the spot, asking Doan to verify the appraisal signatures. With everyone watching, Doan calmly inspects the document. She identifies the names as Jenny Uller and Simon Scarlett, the only two appraisers who authenticated the artist's work during his entire lifetime. The crowd murmurs in understanding. This is undeniable proof. Jinwook freezes, realizing he's been completely outplayed. Looking directly at a stunned and humiliated Sirin, Doan confirms that every detail on the authentic report is absolutely correct, sealing their defeat. With their lies exposed, Ian coolly offers to review the appraisal report with Jinwook and Sirin. He turns the interrogation on them, asking who appraised their painting and what its history is. A flustered Sirin can only stammer that it belonged to her grandmother. Jinwuk glares at her, his mind racing with fury. He realizes a report without a verifiable history is worthless. Humiliated by Sirin's incompetence, Jinwuk silently fumes that Ian has not only stolen his woman, but is now dismantling his reputation. Jinwook's humiliation turns to pure fury as he realizes Ian isn't just after Doan, he's actively tanking his company's stocks and threatening his management rights. Seething, he forcefully grabs Siren's wrist, ordering her to leave immediately. She protests, worried it will look like they're fleeing in defeat. Ignoring her completely, Jinwook's voice drops to a menacing tone, warning her to go while he's still asking nicely. Terrified into silence by his cold anger, Sirin is dragged away just as an announcer redirects the crowd's attention to the main event. With Jinwook and Sirin making their humiliating exit, the announcer takes the stage. She thanks a special individual, revealing that exhibiting the famous artist Enyo's work would have been impossible without them. With a flourish, she introduces the true host of the evening, Director Eun Doan of Dankum Gallery. As the audience applauds, a bewildered Sirin looks back, unable to process how everything went so wrong. Later, Doan calmly raises a glass, toasting the successful opening of her exhibition. Her victory is absolute. Later, over a celebratory dinner, Ian raises his glass to Doan, congratulating her on an amazing night. A blushing Doan thanks him, but brings up a nagging question about a specific piece of art from an old exhibition. Ian smiles, ready to explain. He flashes back to the day of Siren's event. His grandfather had demanded he handle urgent company business, but Ian stood his ground. He had made a promise to Doan, and nothing was going to stop him from being there to support her. Ian approaches Sirin, directly asking to see Eun Doan. Caught off guard, Sirin quickly recovers, smugly stating that Doan quit on her own. She belittles her, asking why any president would regret an incompetent employee leaving. Ian's gaze turns icy. He remarks that Dayam Gallery let a huge talent slip away, and he looks forward to seeing how expensive that choice will be. Sirin pales at the thinly veiled threat. Doan then appears at Ian's side, coolly telling Sirin to enjoy my exhibition before they both leave her behind. Filled with regret, Jinwook walks through the gallery, feeling completely lost. He wonders if he could have prevented Doan's departure had he only arrived sooner. Suddenly, his eyes lock onto a particular painting of a shimmering ocean, stunning him. Instantly recognizing it, he questions a nearby employee about its owner. She explains it belongs to President Choi Sirin's personal collection. A sly, determined smile spreads across Jinwook's face. He realizes he has a new plan and asks the staff member for a favor. At the gallery, Jinwook sets his new plan in motion, telling a staff member he has a special gift for Doan. Elsewhere, in a quiet moment, Doan asks Ian if he knew about her struggles all along. Ian looks at her, explaining his grand gesture wasn't a miracle. He simply put things back where they belonged, making sure what was hers returned to her. Overwhelmed by his sincerity and the scale of his help, Doan can only whisper a heartfelt thank you. A warm, genuine smile spreads across Ian's face. As the gallery prepares to close, a single elderly gentleman remains, completely absorbed by a photograph on the wall. Sensing he needs more time, Doan sends her junior staff member home for the evening. She then walks over to the man, who is still studying the artwork. He turns as she approaches, and Doan professionally introduces herself as the director. She smiles, noting that the photograph he's admiring, titled Starry Night, is also her personal favorite. The man looks at her with a knowing expression. The elderly gentleman agrees with Doan, noting that she also feels the artwork's mix of nostalgia and sadness. Doan shares the story behind the piece. The artist created it to show a starry night to a loved one who had passed on. This story deeply moves the man. He reveals that he had a daughter who loved photography and always dreamed of capturing a starry night herself. With a heavy heart, he confesses that he tried to stop her because she was often sick, a decision he now clearly regrets. The elderly man apologizes for getting emotional, but Doan kindly reassures him. She shares a personal connection. Explaining the artwork makes her think of her own late father. Gazing at the photograph, she reveals her belief that her father is somewhere among those stars, adding that as long as his star doesn't fall, he will always remain in her heart. The man's expression shifts with a sudden, deep emotion. He tells her she's grown up well, leaving Doan stunned by his unexpected and familiar words. Who is this man? The elderly man's familiar words stun Doan. He explains his true gratitude for seeing her do so well as the head of the gallery, certain her father would have said the same. Completely flustered, Doan stammers out her thanks and offers him a chair. The man politely declines, stating it's time for him to leave. With a warm smile, he thanks her for the experience and says he hopes they will meet again, leaving a bewildered Doan to watch him go. Left wondering about the mysterious man's familiar words, Doan is pulled from her thoughts as the successful exhibition finally concludes. After all the chaos, she gets some well-deserved rest, stretching out in bed and enjoying the peace. Her quiet moment is soon interrupted by a phone call from a friend, checking in and inviting her out to dinner since it's her day off. Thrilled by the idea of a relaxing evening, Doan happily accepts the offer, ready to enjoy a normal night out for the first time in a while. On the phone with her friend, Doan is told there's someone special she's going to meet at dinner tonight. This piques her curiosity as she gets ready and heads out, wondering who it could possibly be. Her friend builds the suspense, calling the person very important, which makes Doan a little nervous. However, her friend playfully refuses to spill the details, wanting to keep it a surprise. Now dressed up and on her way, Doan's mind races with questions about the upcoming encounter. Doan asks her friend for the dress code, who just tells her to look neat and proper. As she gets ready, a sobering realization hits her. The 6-month trial period she and Ian agreed to is almost over. In that moment, she understands she can't imagine a life without him and wants to stay by his side, whatever it takes. Pulling up to the restaurant, she's completely shocked. The very important person her friend mentioned is none other than Ian. Still processing, she walks toward him and asks why he's there. Ian doesn't miss a beat, telling Doan he arranged the meeting because he missed her. He pulls her into an embrace, revealing the important person is the chairman. Doan is stunned, but the real shock comes when Ian clarifies it's Chairman Kim Sudong, his maternal grandfather, the head of the powerful Kim's group. An attendant leads them to a private room. Doan's mind races, desperately wanting to make a good impression. As they enter, she nervously greets the legendary figure, hoping she can handle the immense pressure. Doan nervously introduces herself to the legendary chairman, but he already knows exactly who she is. To her shock, he turns around with a warm smile, reminding her of his promise to meet again. The initial tension dissolves over dinner as the chairman entertains Doan with embarrassing childhood stories about Ian. While a flustered Ian begs his grandfather to stop, Doan finds herself genuinely laughing. The mood shifts abruptly when the chairman stops joking and calls her name, his tone suddenly serious, capturing her full attention. The chairman's warm demeanor returns as he invites Doan to visit the US with Ian next year, offering her a room at their estate. Doan is overjoyed, but the mood shifts again when the chairman grows serious, telling her he is truly thankful. The story flashes back 10 years. A distressed chairman catches up to a younger Ian, profusely apologizing for a past mistake. Ignoring the apology, a determined Ian asks for just one favor, for his powerful grandfather to find a specific woman for him. The flashback reveals a vulnerable side to a younger Ian. With tears in his eyes, he admits that because of a certain woman, he found the will to live. Back in the present, the chairman's gratitude is profound. He thanks Doan for saving his grandson. Later that night, Doan is completely drained and collapses onto the couch. Ian watches her, noting how nervous she had been. He sits beside her, adding that his grandfather has taken a genuine liking to her, impressed by her at both the dinner and the exhibition. Doan realizes Ian told his grandfather about the exhibition beforehand and gets flustered, worrying about what might have happened if she messed up. With a confident smirk, Ian simply states he always knew she would do well. His complete faith in her makes her blush. Calling him smug, she happily rests her head on his shoulder. Ian then admits he was also nervous about the chairman's approval. Trying to regain composure, Doan points out she hasn't actually agreed to his plans yet. He just teases her back, gently tucking her hair aside. As Doan rests against him, Ian breaks the comfortable silence with a tender gesture. He pulls back with a serious look, telling her he has something important to say. Curious, she asks what it is. Ian drops some unexpected news. He has to leave for the US with his grandfather the very next day. Doan is completely blindsided, her relaxed expression shifting to pure shock as the reality of his departure sinks in, shattering their peaceful moment. Doan reels from the news, asking why he has to leave for America so suddenly. Ian explains it's a 2-week business trip to report to the head office, but he promises to come back sooner. He leans in closer, adding that he needs to return to give her an answer about their relationship. Before she can process this, He gently places a hotel key in her palm. As a blush creeps onto her cheeks, Doan understands the implication. With a soft but determined gaze, Ian makes his intentions for the night perfectly clear. Doan awkwardly wishes him a safe trip. Unimpressed, Ian promises to stay in touch, reminding her that it will only be 2 weeks. He turns to walk away, but Doan calls out his name in confusion. He stops and looks back at her, complaining that her farewell was far too bland. Before she can respond, he casually tosses his phone aside and closes the distance between them. Ian pulls her into a sudden, firm embrace, determined to get a more memorable goodbye, making it clear he won't be forgotten. Holding her tightly, Ian promises he will return as soon as he can. Flustered by the sudden closeness, Doan can only manage a soft agreement. With that, he is gone, leaving on a plane just as he said. Back at work, Doan settles into a routine. They have video calls every single day, but it's not the same. She finds herself missing him more than she expected, constantly recalling the warmth of his embrace. She longs for his presence beside her, not just on a screen. Doan drifts into a daydream, recalling Ian's embrace and his pleasant, unique scent. Her thoughts are suddenly interrupted by a familiar voice. Her best friend, Mayan, has arrived to see how she's doing. Over coffee, Mayan proposes they take a trip together. Doan hesitates, worried about Mayan being away from her child, but her friend waves it off. She explains that she desperately needs a break to feel like a person again, not just a mom. Since Doan will only get busier as a CEO, now is the perfect time. Convinced, Doan agrees. With their destination decided, California, Doan makes a call to Ian that night. She nervously tells him about the trip with Mayan and shyly asks if he would have time to see her. His momentary silence makes her anxious, but he quickly breaks into a smile and agrees. He explains his pause wasn't from hesitation, but because he was so happy she wanted to see him in America. Relieved, Doan admits she misses him, her thoughts drifting to a memory of their intense connection and how close they had become. On the phone, Ian playfully questions if her confession was meant to be suggestive. He pivots, asking if she's alone. When Doan confirms, he replies with a simple "good" before suddenly turning on his video camera. Doan is left completely stunned, seeing him shirtless and lounging in a bath. He reminds her that she was the one who said she missed him. Pushing the boundary further, Ian asks what she is wearing, clarifying he's interested in what she has on underneath her clothes, leaving her flustered.